I put on the wrong scene. Fuck. Great way to start the stream, guys. Hey guys, my name's Steph. I'm Botanist Cool. I'm here with two amazing people. Feel free to introduce yourselves. Go wild. We'll never know who introduces themselves first. It'll be the fun part.
Okay, I'm AJ.
Hello, I'm AJ.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I did such a bad job last time. Katie's doing it for me.
All right, go ahead.
Hi, hello, I'm AJ. I'm Steph's artist, and please stay. I made assets for this stream.
Yeah, they did.
Also, hello,
Hi.
all of you all. Go on.
Hi, I'm Katie. I've been on the stream a couple times. I'm a friend of Steph and AJ, and I don't have assets, but I can make them if so desired.
And you guys know me. I'm Steph. I'm Botanist Cool.
Do we know you though?
Yeah, I mean, spiritually, maybe not.
Do we know you?
Maybe not spiritually. I don't know. That isn't an answer I could answer for you. I actually had to readjust my volume a little bit there, but hello everyone. I'm hoping you guys are excited. We're talking today about aesthetically designing your characters. Aesthetics over function. Good stuff. This is the stuff AJ lives and breathes for.
And Katie. The amount of pick rows I've seen Katie have is unreal.
That's true.
I love making pick crews. It's fun, and like how I design my characters is like not as detailed as like AJ, I'm sure, especially since like my sense of fashion is absolutely trash. So I'm very passionate about what I do design in my head.
I did fashion as like not a degree, but you know, I
In
did
your
it for
coursework.
years. Yeah. So we're
And-
gonna have fun.
And
You can teach me how to do fashion, AJ, during the stream, and I'll just go over what the rest of my character creation project is. I probably have the most to say about Annalisa, and that's probably it.
I have the most to say about Annalisa too.
fashion over functionality is the only true way to live. Yeah, so as you guys know, one of the things I do, especially with Monster Hunter, I always wore like level 1 gear because I thought it looked good compared to level 10 gear or whatever the shit it was.
What are
And-
you wearing? It's my ass kicking outfit, bitch.
So in D&D, it's definitely very similar, for me at least. I know a lot of people have a very functional design of like, I want to get half plate mail. I'm like, that's boring as shit. I don't want that. I want to look good in D&D. I'm in the fantasy world. I want to look good. So I guess my first question, we're going to talk about today, not per se how we design things, but like why is, in your opinion, what is the fun of designing your own characters? And chat, if you have any opinions, please, once again, chat in the chat box. Like, I love it, but like, what is the fun of designing a character in a fantasy setting?
Yeah. I guess I'll go first just because I'm sure AJ will have much more to say. So, for me, kind of their physical design is in some ways, you know, kind of an extension of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
When I write, and you know, D&D isn't exactly the same as writing, but you know, like when I write, like I like to have a visual image of a character in my head. Just imagining them and how they act helps me keep them in character. And it's just fun to come up with this character that, like, you know, has so much personality. It translates into how they look, like, sort, you know, like it's how they present themselves is another facet of like the kind of person they are. Like, that's true a little bit in real life, but especially when you do like character creation for like a novel or for playing a game or like for anything really, like playing around with these designs, like it's just another way to show off facets of the character that maybe even facets that like aren't immediately obvious or like hinted at in their design. Like if you look at any character you like, a lot of times more thought went into their design than you would ever think. Like if you have an art book, they might talk about like a symbol or like a knife they keep by their side always or something that you never even thought about, but the designers thought about it, and it got them to think more about the character as well.
There's a lot of like those small examples in sci-fi and fantasy all across like popular media. If you take a look at Star Wars as an example, one of the later things that was part of the First Order and the sequel trilogy was they had like a badge that was like a Jedi Knight badge or whatever. But the thing was that Jedi Knight badge is actually based off of the badges used from the Old Republic with Revan and everything like that. So there's intent and detail put into the detail. There's a lot of intent put in these minor details where you often see like they're trying to imply that this is in some way not only canon but still relevant to today's day and affects these characters as they are now. You'll see a lot of those small symbolic additions. If you take a look at oh god, I'm trying the Ice Boy in Genshin.
Which Ice Boy?
Kaya. Kaya has like a symbology around him that puts him in relation to Conria, one of the countries, and we just don't know why he's got the symbology on him, but he has the symbology on him. And it's very interesting to see kind of how that will work out. Like we notice these small little details in these fantasy characters. Like I find it fun because like as a viewer, you get lore pieces added into it, right? You get to like do your theories. Your game Matt Pack goes apeshit over this stuff, right? Like this is like game theory 101. What's the design of the character and what does it imply, right? And also as an author, it's kind of fun too, or as a DM or GM, it's also a lot of fun too because you have to say, I have a cool idea for a character. How should I imply the big bad evil guy is the big bad evil guy, even though he's like currently the most loved chancellor in the Senate? That's Palpatine. Okay, oops, I made that by accident.
I mean, for me personally, like I'm someone who I would say is very fashion forward. Like I wouldn't say I'm fashion forward, but I'm very conscious of my personal fashion choices, and they are like direct extensions of myself. But for me, a character's concept and design is probably as inseparable to the character as their personality themselves, because it is defining. Even just things of like how they choose to style their hair. Are they practical? Are they functional? Or is it ornate? And why is it ornate? Is it for culture? Is it for, just because they like fashion, etc.? The reason I enjoy character design is because there's so many ways in which you can put feeling into your character. And like you mentioned, things like foreshadowing, for example, is a fantastic thing. But there's just so much you can do. And for me personally, I don't feel like a character becomes real until they have been designed. Because obviously of how much you can get into a design just for one person.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
That's all I have to say.
You mentioning Kaya gave me immediate whiplash. The best part about being... I don't know how to pronounce your name, my friend. Please tell me how to pronounce it, but... Empo, thank you very much for raiding, my friend. I hope you're enjoying your time here. We're talking about D&D, and we're talking about creating characters. It's Empo. Awesome. I got it on Empo. Hey, guys. Tell us how your stream was, Empo. I'd love to hear about it. And thank you. Welcome to the community. I hope you enjoy your time here. we are talking about D&D and how to aesthetically design your characters and what we like about aesthetically designing your characters. And I gotta say, yo, D&D, hell yeah, that's awesome. Oh, Empo, tell us what you're doing about D&D. We're doing Fantasy Cool is kind of like a critical thinking like stream to help people and players and DMs critically think about what they do and how they do it. So yeah, if you want to stay around, please do stay. And hey, Empo's stream. Thank you very much for joining on in. My name's Steph. I'm Botanist Cool. I'm a horticulturalist. Before AJ corrects me, I'm a horticulturalist. If you guys have any questions about plants, you can always hit me up about that kind of stuff too. Feel free to join the Discord, and of course, feel free to leave a follow. Oh yeah. So yeah, I think you mentioned is, yeah, you're right. A lot of times when a character is done when it is finally designed, and I'll tell you one design I really love. When I go back and think about designs for shows that I really adore, the first one that comes up to mind is Arya the Animation, because it's a fucking amazing show. But it's a show that is based off Venice, right? And Venetian history and the history of Venice, which is Venetian history.
On Mars.
On Mars, yeah, exactly, on Mars. So they have to blend this aesthetic of ancient Venice and gondolas with the mysticism of sci-fi and wonder, which is really cool, and they do a great job of it. The uniforms of the gondoliers pay homage to the real-life uniforms in a way that's very subtle, but at the same time feels just right. You know, the designs of the uniforms, the differences between the uniforms are always just different, whether it be in coloring or whether it be in shape of the logos. Like, the colors of each and every company are so symbolic of the company themselves. If you think about it like that, like the Himeya company, the main character from that company has a very big, like, out there abrasive energy. She's a really great character, and her color is red. Her company is the color red, and she now is a manager of that company, and she has this big forward push and a very aggressive expansion kind of tactic. All the while, the main character's color is blue, calm, relaxing. There's only 2 employees at that company, and it's still one of the highest performing companies because of how loving and calming they are.
Sorry, I just want to say you've brought up something very interesting there. You mentioned that a character doesn't feel finished until a design is done, and I do just want to say a character is never done. You may find personally that with your own characters, as you change and develop, or as you play with your character more through D&D and things, that they will change, and therefore your choice of aesthetic will change. And that is completely natural for a character to do. That's proof that thought and care has been put into them. Mm-hmm. And if anything, again, that it's a great way to show how your character has changed, if their aesthetics change, if what they've been through has changed what they wear or how they wear it.
Holy shit, we're going back to this again. Zuko!
Yes, exactly, Zuko.
Like, Zuko starts with a very... go on.
I was going to say, Zuko is great because his, like, I don't know if you're going to talk about his hair, but
yes!
his hair works on multiple levels, and it's fantastic because...
It does.
Because, like, in a lot of, like, Japanese or cultures and stuff, back in olden times, cutting your hair used to be something disgraceful. He and Uncle Iroh, like, cut their hair when they are officially severed from the Fire Nation as a way of, you could call it disguise, but if you think about it, it's not really disguise for Iroh, because, like, not much change. It's more of a sort of, it's symbolic of, like, them separating their ties there. And then, Zuko gets his, like, so, like, it works on that level, and then Zuko gets his, like, emo.
And you think about Aang as well. I think every time we've done this stream, we've always brought up Avatar, because Avatar has amazing examples of all of the above, honestly. But think about Aang. When Aang was in the Fire Nation, and after he got shot by Azula with the lightning, he had hair. He did not shave his hair for a long time, and only after he regained a level.
For the sake of disguise.
Yes, it was
However,
100%.
It was used as a symbol for him reconnecting with himself because he felt like he failed for so long.
Exactly. And once he shaved his hair, you realize he had become a lot more, self-confident in himself. And not only that, just a stronger individual. Like once he shaved his hair back again and took on that responsibility and mantle of the Avatar again, like he shaved his hair. It was, don't get me wrong. Yeah, that was 100% for disguise, because not many people have big blue tattoos going all around the area, but like it was something that was really cool that like that design change really had a symbolic meaning for the character.
And like that's the cool thing when you do character design really well, you can actually combine functionality and symbolism at the same time. And when you do that, that's always like the most awesome part.
Well, it's like, so for example, going back to Zuko's hair. So the ponytail is kind of a big deal. Like nearly everyone has some sort of top knot in the Fire Nation, and obviously the removal of it could be associated for Zuko personally with the shame he felt of being completely tied off from the Fire Nation, because he was going through a journey of self-discovery at the time. And it's also as well when he doesn't take his top knot back when he joins the Avatar, even though he does reuse that sort of style whilst he's in the Fire Nation and quote unquote accepted by his father. The fact that he rejects that part of his culture, which symbolizes the rejection of the toxic part of his culture, this concept of complete annihilation, and it's multiple layers of intelligence and effect.
Avatar just has fan-fucking-tastic design. And I think one other thing, actually, because I want to talk about this, AJ. So, all right, I'm going to change the prompt a little bit. What's fun about designing a character? We've already talked about what's fun about it. Let's talk about great character designs and how they were implemented. So I'm going to change the prompt real quick physically, but if you guys have any like immediate off the head, it doesn't have to be Avatar, can be Avatar, but like just great character designs that you think are really stuck with you for whatever reason.
I feel like my character designs that stuck with me aren't necessarily they're based purely on aesthetics.
Sure, that's fine.
So not to be cringe, so like Flane, for example. I love Flane.
No, I know.
Her, I literally have a tattoo of her on my body. But anyway, like the thing I love very much about Flane is, you know what? No, I'm not going to talk about Flane. I'm going to talk about Pagan Min from Far Cry, right? Because I'm looking at him currently.
Okay.
So Pagan Min from Far Cry. I don't know if you know what he looks like.
No idea. I'll take a look at a picture. I'll look up a picture of him now.
He's the main quote-unquote bad guy from Far Cry 3. And he is basically, he's forced himself into a position of power in a tiny Indian nation, right? And to say that he has an exorbitant amount of wealth while the population starves is an understatement. And I think that is wonderfully showcased in his character design. Like the purple, not only that, but purple, he has silk embroidery on his blazer. And that's like a really great showcase of his arrogance, because purple is colour that I believe it was either through Greece or through Rome, because of how hard the colour purple was to make. It was associated with royalty, and so you have this continued association. And as he has forced himself into this position of power, he of course has adopted this sort of purple, very regal colour on himself, and like also as well, like his hair's bleached.
Yep.
Right. Like he's very fashion forward, and it's just wonderful design. Like he doesn't need to foreshadow how, because the first moment you meet him, he can a pen. But it's just wonderful character design, because it really showcases his own belief in himself and his own arrogance.
No, I'm taking a look at this guy right now, and that's exactly what I'm getting off of him. Like, he feels high and mighty and hoity-toity. This guy, like, my initial reaction, besides obviously big bad evil guy, is like, this dude thinks the world of himself and only of himself. He's got priorities in himself, and that's it. And I could immediately get that to just take a look at him. You say it's purple. It looks pink to me, but I could be very wrong.
I have a limited edition.
Ooh.
And it's
okay, it's purple. All right, for me it looks pink. Maybe I just gotta get my eyes checked, but I do need to get my eyes checked. That's a different story. But like this dude looks like, either way, this is a color that in a nation that doesn't, that in some areas you might not get as easy access to, which is like the color itself is meant to stand out against everything else, not just to go into the symbology of like the royalty and stuff. But like it's just. It feels so standoffish and standoutish, and I love it. It's fucking wild.
He's actually a wonderful character. Like, he's a terrible character, but objectively, his ending is the best ending for the game.
Oh no!
So let me quickly explain. So one option is child marriage becomes an option. The other option for the game is child slavery becomes an option. His option is you sit down, eat some crab rangoon, you get to put your mother's ashes where it turns out your half sister that was biologically his, and he's like, let's go blow shit up, and you're like, yeah, let's go blow shit up, and you go and blow shit up.
Jesus Christ, okay. Okay. Research seems to be very familiar with the Far Cry antagonists and their designs. I was gonna bring out something else actually, and this is a AJ and I were talking about this recently because AJ sent me a video.
Alien.
Yep, we're talking about Alien. The Alien design. The funny thing is, like, what's in? Because this is the exact opposite of the spectrum. You're talking about someone who's designed so flamboyantly, so out there, so rich and like, you know, eye-catching. Alien's character design was designed for the specific purpose of saying everyone is part of one unit, everyone's part of one thing, everyone's kind of like a cog in the machine. Everything and everyone, there's no gender, there's no discrimination on that end. It's more along the lines of everyone is just the same equipment, the same everything, and that spoke volumes in Alien. Like, take a look at it all.
Design of the Alien, I was like, Steph.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna talk about the aliens' designs. I was talking about more or less the humans because, like, there's something I cannot say on this stream as well. But if you want to look more about the aliens and the xenomorphs designs, look that up on your own time. There's a lot of really cool stuff with that. But just by talking about the human characters, you can tell that everyone was designed very androgynously. Is that the word I'm looking for?
That's the correct word, yes.
Yeah, everyone's designed very androgynously. Like, you could literally put some clothes on someone, some clothes on the other, they could switch clothes, you wouldn't fucking know, right? Because that design that's the intent of it. In Alien was a show that what's it called again, AJ?
What do you mean?
Dog whistling, right?
Dog whistling, yes.
Alien was a show that was extremely progressive for its time, or at least can be interpreted as extremely progressive for its time, where you have obviously one of the strongest and first female leads, and, like, you know, it's one of the first big feminist movies of sci-fi, even though the genre was basically invented by a woman. I don't know why. It's, you know, anyways. But like, you have a very strong female lead, but at the same time, the entire movie talks about a genderless group of individuals, sometimes literally with the androids and sometimes more figuratively with the design of the individual, showing that in the future the gender of the individual isn't necessarily the important thing in this group of Marines, but rather their capability as fighters and as Marines. I guess that's the best way to put it. This is a very interesting design choice, where it's like the lack of specific design was specific design.
It's like in Alien, gender doesn't objectively matter because it wasn't designed to matter. All of the character roles, because they wanted to focus so much on the xenomorph, were specifically designed to be gender neutral. It didn't matter what played the roles. That was solely up for the characters to interpret whether they would be feminine or masculine, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So,
go on.
Yeah, that's all I had to say.
Mm-hmm. Katie, any designs that have stood out to you in the past?
So it's hard for me to think of things off the top of my head, but something that stuck with me for kind of different reasons is, and I don't know how applicable this will be to D&D, but so Ace Attorney character design. Basically, the old sprites used to be on the Game Boy Advance, I think it was, that's where it started. So they had very limited assets. So what you had was you had the sprite work basically, and so it kind of just sort of the animations were actually just these small little movements, whereas largely the same. But these movements and these designs had so much character popped into them that just by the nature of the sprite itself and how they're the little twitches or head scratches or whatever they had, that just told you so much about their character, and is super important, especially because during witness testimony and stuff, the way that their movements change to become more neurotic and more it tells you that you're winning, so that's your reward. So that's how that sticks with me, is the characters tend to be outrageous some of the time, or even when they're not, sometimes they'll just have certain things, and they've even had sprites in some games where their movements actually foreshadow something. They'll grab at something, or they'll grab at their shoulder or their head or something, and someone will be like, did you hit your head? And it's they've been doing that the whole time that you've met them, and it's of course that's why they've you know what I mean.
Wasn't one of the antagonists shot in the shoulder and he grabbed the shoulder a few times?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember who that was, but I feel it was a really big guy.
Yeah, and the funny thing is he has a daughter that shows up later, and that daughter has similar, she also grabs her shoulders when she's upset, and that sort of is interesting because did she pick that up from her father who used to do that? You know what I mean? And that's something, again, it's not as easy to work into something where in D&D where you have to describe every physical motion, but that can be anyway. Kind of a part. Well, yeah, because that's an important thing. For example, in D&D, if you have a very posh character who's always dressed up nice, one way that you can signal to other players and stuff that my character's not doing so well, even though he wouldn't talk about it, is now he starts looking frumpy. You describe him as frumpy, and suddenly, it's similar to a behavioral change, except something's off with their appearance that signals that something's wrong. You know what I mean? So that's another thing that that's what I mean when it's the design is an extension of, it's separate from personality, but still an aspect of it.
Yeah.
In a way, character design isn't just the aesthetics, but it's also posture and mood and movement, you were mentioning. When you talked about Ace Attorney specifically, I could immediately think of some of the funniest. Who's the guy with the balding hair?
The judge.
No, in Ace Attorney, the first guy you have to
Frank saw it.
Yeah, I could see him with his hair going crazy, it was a toupee or something like that, or I might be misremembering part of it. You could clearly see that. You could clearly see that character and how that character kind of devolved from a cocky kind of almost businessy person, oh, I've got this in the bag. You got nothing on me, huh? To a kind of guy, you know. I'm sorry if that surprised you guys.
I'm so glad that your mic cut out.
Oh yeah, the mic was like, this is gonna be too loud for.
I wouldn't be surprised if Stream heard us. I'm sorry for Stream, but like it was so great. And not only that, they look at Phoenix's design versus I was about to say Edelgar's Edgeworth.
Okay, so I've seen a lot of things like of official. I think where like Edgeworth had more brown hair, but I'm assuming that's the sprite work, for example. So the limit of the medium made it like gave him like the white hair so that he could probably better differentiated from Phoenix, is what I'm assuming.
I'd need to see, because most of the official art I've seen has him with like grayish hair. So maybe there's some like art that has him with more brownish hair. But,
I think it was in the
possible.
I think it was in like the anime or something.
No, Edgeworth has gray hair in the anime.
Fair enough.
I was thinking more along the lines of just their body postures, like, and how they designed that. Like, you see that Edgeworth has a lot of poshness in his clothing for sure, but he also has a lot of confidence in his body posture. Even when he's losing, it's not often that you see him kind of freak out and he goes like, for a second. Like, but Phoenix on the other hand, you could kind of see his novelty at the art of lawyering, shall we say, because
talking about Phoenix Wright has made me think about the argument.
About what argument?
It's super smoothie.
It's super smoothie.
There's a video where it's just a Tumblr text that's been split between Phoenix and Edgeworth. And
Yeah.
it's super smoothie.
Oh yeah, people use people put arguments on the internet into Ace Attorney all the time. And it's precisely because the sprites are fun to watch. Like, it's fun to like give these stupid arguments like the weight of Ace Attorney sprites, where everyone's slamming their hands on the desk and going, objection!
Can I just go off for a second? So another thing that I love Edgeworth is I sort of noticed that his reactions to Phoenix get more intense as like the series goes on, because it goes from I'm fine with winning this to go, Jesus fucking Christ, why am I in the same room as this idiot again?
Yeah.
And I love that. That's such good character development.
Oh man, Edgeworth gets some good.
Katie, you can talk to us more than we can, because you are the Phoenix Wright.
I need to read that fan fiction, Katie.
I can send you my fanfic.
Send me the fanfics.
It's number 5. Wait, I probably shouldn't say that on stream.
You are the Phoenix Wright professional of us right now. So my question for you is, there is a lot of, I guess the right word would be dog whistling again, and a lot of implications that Phoenix Wright and Edgeworth are more than just casual friends. Can you elaborate on how the design of them and perhaps their aesthetics? Because like I read that like the original artist was like a doujinshi artist for like yaoi comics before.
Yeah, she was originally.
Interesting.
Originally, Edgeworth was supposed to be an older mentor for Phoenix, but then I forget her name. It's like Sue Kato or something. I cannot remember, unfortunately. Came in and was like, no, you gotta make him hot and you gotta put him in here. And then the original creator was like, well, I'm gonna make them like childhood best friends and come up with this elaborate sort of like backstory for them. And then obviously people run away with that, but there's also a lot of other things. Like, first of all, they like, even if you don't interpret their relationship as romantic, like they very clearly have this very meaningful relationship between them. And also their suits are designed on the concept of blue oni and red oni, which in Japan you see this a lot. You know, you have these like two demons, one's blue and one's red, and they're always clashing in battle. You know, you see that in a lot of like, it's a lot of anime and things like that. You know, the contrast colors, but usually the one Oni is supposed to be like more calm and like relaxed, and one is supposed to be more like fiery. And in this case, they're kind of switched, I think, for some reason, because I'm pretty sure it's the blue Oni that's supposed to be like cold and calm and collected, and the red one that's supposed to be very passionate. So I think they're a little bit switched, but I did read somewhere that they were based, it was kind of based off that.
All right. Well, that's once again, I know you were saying like before, like you don't know how applicable this would be to D&D. Like this is all extremely applicable to D&D in any role playing or story writing scenario. Like once again, these small details that you see are, I mean, not to the English teachers like extent of everything is so symbolic, like the blue curtains are symbolic of X, Y. Like no, sometimes it's just fucking blue curtains. But at the same time, like when it comes to character design, a lot. Sometimes I said, to be fair.
No. So I think the English teachers take it too far. So for example, the way in which a character views the world through their lens of vision is actually a fantastic way of characterization.
Okay.
Are the curtains blue? Or are they like fucking like are they miserable?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is it dark or does it feel consuming to your character? Sorry, I just wanted to start an argument.
No, that's fair. I mean, I guess the point is like how you can interpret it yourself versus how maybe the author might like. It's like sometimes like you feel like okay, it can't be this much forethought put into it, and sometimes it definitely is. I guess it depends on like the focal points of the story itself. Is the focal point on the character or the surrounding? That's a different topic, but yeah. Yeah. Any closing mentions on this before I go on to one of the questions we had?
I don't think so.
No, I think that's it.
All right, so I asked the question on Discord, and if you guys want to join the Discord, join the Discord. These are interactive streams. You guys can fill out a Google form, and we will bring this out and talk to you, talk about your questions and answers, and see how we either relate to them or how we don't relate to them and stuff like that. So my first question that we actually had was pretty simple. I'm gonna put the image here real quick. I'm gonna get the image out from my brain. Actually, hold on. Whoop, and that's not what I wanted. That is what I wanted. Perfect. The question to this answer is for, the question is, let's start from the beginning. What's your process in designing a character? Where do you draw inspiration from? Now, one of our community members, Voodoo, Voodoo decided to answer along these lines. I have an unhealthy habit of overthinking character design, and I especially tend to think in diegetic terms. What exact materials people have access to, methods of fashion, set materials are into clothing, accessories, and tools. What does diegetic mean?
I think that means, I've heard the word before. I think it means exactly what the context means here, where you're thinking about it in terms of practicality. Let me double check that meaning. I think like diegetic. I'm pretty sure that's what that means. Yeah, occurring within the context of the story and being able to be heard by the characters. So, for example, music that's diegetic is not like Avengers music. It's like music that's actually playing in the tavern or something like that.
So like Splatoon, like for those of you who follow me, Splatoon has diegetic music, which because like the music's playing in the world that you are in. Because like once you go into the ink, the music kind of, it sounds like you're listening to music through ink. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. So I guess what they're saying is that they take a very like world-oriented view where they like, it's like, well, what would people of this time like be wearing and stuff like that. Which, AJ, I'm sure you have a lot to say on that based on when you asked me for feedback for Annalisa.
Yeah, I mean, designing a character from a digestive valid and reasonable. You don't just have to showcase a character's personality. You can showcase culture, which obviously culture, I think, often define culture and means of availability often defines characters and what they have. You're not going to have a farmer who's dressed in silk, you know, and I think that's perfectly reasonable to get like hyperfixated on because it's part of a character's backstory. It's part of a character's history and part of themselves if it's especially culturally related. So I can completely see why. Wait, what was the question?
I mean, you can see that just in kind of like daily life as well. There are different cultures have different clothings, and sometimes now they're like when you go to a Choreo in Greece, as an example, you might find more traditional forms of boots like stivania, which the Cretans use as an example, or you might find traditional knives they carry around. I remember when I was doing my when I was doing dancing, towards the end of our career, basically, we gave our dance instructor a knife, and it was a traditional Cretan knife that is symbolic to us culturally, and had like engraving on the side about my group and his teaching of us for the past 12 goddamn years. You know, like. There was a lot of symbolism in just that knife, and even just like going into real life, you know, like every culture has that level of symbolism. Like if you have a character that has a knife from a past or a culture, it might be extensively important to them, even though it might be like a 1d4 non-magical bullshit weapon. You know what I'm saying? It's a cultural characteristic importance.
Yeah, I agree. I always like that stuff is so cool. Like when you do that, I tend not to do that just because like I don't have like a lot of knowledge and be like I tend to go like I tend to go more like personality and like what I think like I think this is like the coolest thing though, but it's not how I personally go about it.
I will say that I was playing a game of D&D as a dungeon master, and my friend, you guys have seen her on the stream before, her name's Kelly. She was playing a character who was a connoisseur, and what connoisseurs are in my world are the members of these guilds, right? And even Katie's interacted with this aesthetically before, and I can let Katie speak on that behalf in a second, but all the connoisseurs wore ponchos. And the whole point about the poncho was to get artistic and make it designed after you. So Kelly took this really weird approach of getting a bunch of like broken, half disheveled ponchos and quilting them together as a historical artifact and a half cape for herself. So she didn't even have a full poncho. She had like a half poncho, which sounds wild, and I loved the idea, but it really showed how at that moment her character wanted to be a really awesome and well-recognized connoisseur and a leader of this group who held the history of this group on her back. And believe it or not, after meeting the spirits of her relatives, she burned that shit away because she said, no, I actually know the founding of this group now. I want to lead it in a new direction. And she said, my old poncho, I wore this for a year in real life. I'm throwing this away. It is burned. I'm never seeing it again. If other connoisseurs want to honor the history when I train them, that's fine. They can make theirs, but I will never wear a poncho again. And that took on a symbolic meaning as well as a diegetic meaning, with a diegetic like start, right? A diegetic start that turned into a symbolic meaning. I thought that was really cool. I don't know. It was a design she had that stuck with me for a very long time. And once again, guys, if you have any opinions about where you get your character designs from, feel free to put them in the chat box. We'd love to read them out and see what you think. But Katie, if you want to talk about your poncho.
Yeah, so basically Fane stumbled upon, my character Fane stumbled upon this poncho, and long story short, he kind of got like a blast to the past sort of connection with his old life through it, and it was one of the first really like significant like things that had affected him. So he wore that poncho all the time, and now his opinions on things have kind of changed, but he still wears ponchos all the time, as it was kind of like he didn't really have like. So when he first started off, he was a character who could not really express himself because he was sort of a literal blank slate. Like he had trouble speaking because a lot of words like sort of imply like whether you like something or not. Like if someone asks you like how's the food, like you have to like based on who you are, you'll say like, oh, it's good, or like, oh, I love this, or like it's fine, or like bleh, not for me. And like he couldn't really say things like that because like it was just like this is food. Like and like his whole thing was like growing more. So like now the poncho aesthetic, like he just wears like I think he just likes ponchos now. Really. Like he'll wear that one sometime, but like so when for example they did have to like dress up for fashion at one point in the necrodancer's place, so like they had to go pick out like items, and what he did is he picked out another poncho because that's what he's used to wearing.
A groovy tie-dye poncho, if I remember correctly, right?
No, I don't think it was a groovy tie-dye poncho. I think it was like one of those brown ones with the tassels. I think.
Oh.
He had aviator sunglasses though, which was something.
Amazing.
But that's a good. That is a good example. I think now we got to go into some of the good stuff with AJ's assets. We are going to AJ is very excited about this. Where do you want to start off with, AJ? Do you want to start off with the pink one or the dark one?
I would start off with the pink one, please.
All right.
Just show up the color palette first.
I'm gonna do that. Give me 1 second. Nope, that's a picture of Lawrence's hair.
I swear to God.
Can we talk about that design for once?
No.
We bring up Annalisa. I want to talk about her too.
Okay, yeah.
Not now, but like.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Here's
your
the big stuff.
I do have a picture of Annalisa. I will download the picture of Annalisa soon. Oh, that's big, yeah. Give me a second. Guys, this is the best part about the stream, right? Watching me like work with the assets and hopefully like not fucking mess things up. So AJ, start telling us, how do you design your characters while I make this a proper size?
So I would, but I need the picture in question. So that'll do. So here is these are images Pinterest board. So basically I've taken things that are like my character's aesthetic. So things like she likes flowers, she likes bows, she has lipstick on. Like, was she pribby and cute? Swirls chocolate milk in a wine glass. I'm drinking chalky milk right now. But these are very much things that she would. And so what I've done is, as you can see with the side, I have created a color palette. And so this is really easy to do. Literally, it's like, okay, like I only have those there as an option because like as a physical example. So you've got white is very prominent, pink is very prominent, we've got brown's prominent, green's prominent, and 2 different types of pink because we are extra. So this was just an example of how I personally quickly whip up stuff like this. I don't normally have like a physical example. Next slide.
Oh, I gotta save it. Hold on.
The pink girls.
Yeah, okay. Save image. This is not Lawrence's hair. Why do you keep coming up Lawrence's hair? Jesus Christ, we're gonna talk about it.
Did you not pre-save them? I sent them to you for you to pre-save. Thank you. So here I have from a website called Picru. It's basically a doll maker. which is also a really good option as far as making characters. In fact, Katie, her character Annalisa, who I've drawn as a commission, she gave me picroos to use. So it's absolutely fantastic to use to physically represent your OCs. And I did do some fiddling with these, so for these girls here, they all have the exact same colour palette, but the different hairstyles and such give off sort of different vibes. And two, just how I've chose to present the colour palettes has also showcased like a very different personality. So for example, if we look at the rightmost two characters, you've got this girl with the very soft fluffy blonde white hair with like the pink undertone. She kind of gives me shy vibes, like she's a little shy, she's a little nervous, whereas the girl underneath her with the red hair, she's a fucking Cassandra. Like, I don't know what you want. Like, she'll call you an idiot and punch you in the face, and I'm here for it, personally speaking. And so, just by using a doll maker, I've created 4 different characters, and I think what I've been able to infer very different personalities with the same color palette, just using different colors in different ways, and that's the design. And so I actually, I'll show you an example of my own character. Can you get me the dark, please?
Yeah, sure. Do you want Elijah first, or do you want just
No, the Dark Academia mood board. Then I'll get Elijah.
Okay. Calamity, we're talking about how we create and how we get inspired to create characters now, and AJ's going with us through a bunch of their processes, so using mood boards as well as color palettes and stuff to really and pick crews to really make a physical talk. We also talked about a lot of like our favorite versions of like characterization, whether it be the irony of non-specialization being really specialized, or talking about emotion and physical stuff. There's a lot of stuff. I'm going to put this on on YouTube later on. In fact, the first 2 Fantasy Cools, or rather the first 2 of these Fantasy Cools, are already on YouTube. So feel free to listen to those when you have a moment.
So here, for example, here's an actual character, one of my personal OCs. But purple flame. It's important to the character. So, but here's a perfect example of like Ace Bride PP. Oh my god, did I accidentally make the Ace Bride flag with us?
I mean, no, you did Ace with the purple.
Okay, I was like, oh. So yeah, so basically I've done the exact same thing here. I've created for my personal character, and you know, the options are I can go to Picker and really easily find, you know, ways to recreate this character. And then, but I mean, I'm an artist, so next slide.
All right, it's taking me a second to get up. But yeah, I'll say this, AJ is very much so an artist. They do good art.
This is my boy. This is my son. This is how I've used the color palette to design him as a character. He's got the gold in his eyes. He's got like the black in his necktie.
Oops, I meant to bring up a comparison, but like I fucked that one up. Oopsies.
It's fine. It's okay.
So you can see basically like how inspiration came and how final design came.
Yeah. And so it's, even if also you don't draw yourself, it's a fantastic way to summarize your character into very easily translate things. Doll makers to the end. It's you don't have to be an artist, and you don't have to be an artist to realize them. There's a lot of different ways that you can do this while not being an artist. That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool ways to get inspiration for your character. I always get inspiration for my characters first with music. which is a completely different way as everyone else has mentioned so far.
No, hang on. No, music is so valuable.
Oh no.
Like, the feelings you can get can be so tangible, you know, turn into. What did I do?
There is a character. There is a character right now, and I hate that this is the truth because it's gonna make me seem like such a. Oh god, I don't know if I can say that word online on Twitch. It made me seem like such a dude, bro, and I fucking hate it. There's a character I'm thinking. Actually, I'm gonna keep this on here now, just so people can get a better look at how AJ does theirs. Thanks. I don't know if you guys have seen the last episode of Rick and Morty that came out.
Yes.
The ending song that Evil Morty has, because Evil Morty is objectively, I mean, yeah, he's evil, but like he's not necessarily evil in the classic sense. That song, Evil Morty's theme song at the end of season 5 specifically, not the original one, specifically the one at the end of season 5, has inspired me in one of my new characters in an upcoming Traveler campaign I want to make for a sci-fi game.
You didn't tell me you watch Rick and Morty.
I do, yeah. I think we mentioned it because you and I have gone into rants of how much like people who idolize Rick don't understand the point of being of Rick. You know what I'm saying? We've gone into rants about that.
Careful now. That's a little bit of a controversial opinion to put on you. I like that.
Yeah, bro, I love Rick and Morty, man. Anyways, but no, so like that ending song for specifically Evil Morty at the end of season 5 is legitimately one of my most is chat going through? Hold on. Alright, he's going through, cool. Is one of it has inspired me to make an entire character, and then out of that character I built an entire faction. Which is going to be an optional but story plot based thing that the players can go through. And I've started designing more the emotion of this character through music before I've designed their physical appearance, and that helps me get to their physical appearance. The song Lucretia by Griffin McElroy, used in the Adventure Zone, helped me to solidify who Keela Dune is in my normal fantasy campaign, and that really helped out a lot. I had Keela Dune long before I listened to the Adventure Zone, but I solidified her character and her personality and what she represented, and with that song. So I always start personally with the emotional, and then I go on to the physical, or rather the non-physical aesthetic, shall we say, and then I go on to the physical aesthetic. 'Cause I always feel that for me, it is easier to start with the non-physical aesthetic versus the physical aesthetic. Because like, you could definitely be like, oh, this is a warrior from, I don't know, the desert, and you could like, bam, easy. You got a basic dress code. But at the same time, for me, when it comes to the individual characters, and not just kind of throwaway NPCs, I always feel like I gotta start with the emotional and the non-physical aesthetic versus the physical. That's just how I do it. Like, that's how I get my inspiration for starting to make the aesthetic of a character.
Yeah, I'm a little bit closer to you, Steph, in that I tend to come up with the character first, either by a cool concept or like, flipping through the D&D manual and trying to imagine what different mixes of classes and races would come out as. But like once I get that, that's when I really start to like think more on the character, and like I'm like, okay, so like I like the idea of this and this. And I don't know if AJ has more stuff to go through, but like,
No.
I have a bunch of pit crews, I guess I could send, but then also like,
if you want to send anything that you've like have pit crews of, you're free to do so.
I mean, I think we can like just, if you have the picture of Annalisa, if not, I could probably find it and resend it to you.
I have a picture of Annalisa. Do you want to send her? Do you want to send me a pit crew of Annalisa to show the differences in like designing or?
Yeah, sure.
I'll get a picture of Annalisa up right now.
Yeah, so like here's a fun thing is like pickers help me like by playing around in Pit Crew, sometimes I move away from, because I'm not very good at conceptualizing certain things in my head stylistically, and when I mess around with pickers, it helps me get them out visually so that I can have a clearer image in my head, because like I said, having the image in my head is important to me. So let me find...
The picture that is up now is actually a commission from AJ, taking in Annalisa's, the information that Katie gave him about Annalisa, and making Annalisa, Annalisa.
Yeah, so this is AJ and Steph's sort of commission with a little bit of input or not a little bit, a lot of, but like, you know what I mean? It's like, this is ultimately their commission, so I wasn't too nitpicky. I wasn't like, no, it has to be this exact thing, but like, I did give a lot of feedback back and forth. So basically, Annalisa was born from the idea is like, she might have been a little bit influenced from like Travis McElroy's idea of like Fitzroy, in that like you have this like classy barbarian basically. So basically her initial concept was just a like refined spoiled brat who just like when things didn't go her way she'd flip into an uncontrollable rage, right? Like that was her
It's okay, you're objectively wrong. Sorry. Continue, Katie. I was talking to someone in chat, sorry.
Okay. So that was like her initial thoughts, and she wound up changing slightly from that to become a bit more nuanced, especially as I flipped through and I read like lore on halflings. They tend to be more chill, so I'm like, okay, she's spoiled for a halfling, so like we're gonna cut down the attitude a little bit but still keep her there, cut her down, make her a little bit easier to get along with in a party group, but still be kind of bratty. And her whole thing was she's supposed to be a barbarian that like has the power of like fire. I forget what it's called, a Storm Herald barbarian, and I wanted to have her always keep the desert trait.
Yeah.
I think it was, so like she's very fiery. So in her design, like I wanted her to have, this vibrant orangey this like vibrant orange hair. Like I saw that as like being very like poof. You know what I mean? Like to symbolize her fiery nature for like obvious reasons. And like and then I also wanted to like imagine her like what her hair would be, and so something you can see between the pit crew and the official thing there that I liked was keeping the braids in front, because braids to me were like I knew that she was gonna be classy, so she's probably gonna wear nice clothes, but I wanted her to still fit into that like her class aesthetic without it being like too off. And so braids to me are something that are both refined but also fit into the like when you think of like your typical like barbarian design for D&D and stuff, they tend to have braids and stuff. So like that was my kind of idea of the thing in front. And you can see like other pickers, they might not have had like the braids and stuff, but that was my initial idea for her having the braids in front, was like that sort of mix of refinement and then her like temper, like I can you know what I mean? So that's like how I came up with the hairstyle basically. And like I kind of came to that by messing around and pick her, trying to find something that spoke to me. And for her eyes, I wanted them to be hazel, because I wanted them to like have a splash of color that was like, if her eyes were also brown, that'd be kind of like too warm of a character design, but I still wanted her to have that fire in her eyes, you know what I mean? So like I thought that Hazel, you know, is a nice mix of like brown and green. So like, you know, it has that like color, but it still has the warmth there that you can see just by looking into her eyes. Like she has that like warmth there. And I knew her favorite color was going to be red.
God bless.
I debated it being purple because she's basically like the daughter of two people that like own a wine industry, but like some wines can be red, so like I figured it still kind of fits. You know, the fiery aesthetic plus the wine, leading to her favorite color being red, and thus I imagined she'd wear a lot of red clothes. Beyond that, I didn't really know what I wanted. It was more of a kind, like clothing-wise, because like I said, I'm not very fashionable. It was more of a I'll know it when I see it type of thing. You know what I mean?
Sweaty.
Jesus Christ!
Listen, she had her character arc. Her character arc was her parents kicked her out so that on an adventure journey.
And the funny thing is, she lost all that the moment she got to the Wizard's Chalice.
She was starting to learn, but then, Steph, you let her stay in a fancy hotel, and I'm afraid that was the end of that.
You done goofed, Steph.
Yeah.
Goofed, Steph. Like, her whole thing is like, you know, she grew up in what was a dangerous time, so her parents, like, kind of just are good people, but they were busy like trying to care for a lot of people, so they kind of like, I wouldn't say like neglected her, but like sort of they kind of like spoiled her. They spoiled her accidentally, and then once things calmed down, they were kind of like, oh shit, our daughter's kind of spoiled, and they kind of like sent her off on this journey, which has her arc. Like, are we ever going to continue this? Should I just say what I envision?
I personally don't think we are. Unfortunately, a few of the individuals have kind of fallen off the face of the earth.
Yeah. So like
the original Fantasy Cool was originally a campaign. Actually, we have the 8 episodes of the Fantasy Cool campaign on YouTube if you want to watch them. But since a few people fell off the face of the earth, it's been nigh impossible to actually get it going again. So. For now, I've turned Fantasy Cool into just a creative help tool for D&D and stuff. So yeah.
So yeah, I'll basically say like she originally like her story was originally supposed to be like what I imagined the base of her spoiledness to be was sort of like this whole idea is like I am entitled to things as a good barrel because being a good barrel is what makes me great. If I'm not entitled to this stuff, like if I'm not inherently great, then what am I? Like that was going to be her character arc, is sort of, you know, like you're not inherently great. Like she was always gonna have like put herself in high esteem, but it was going to, you know, like because I don't believe that part of her like necessarily has to entirely go away, but it's sort of a, you know what I mean? Where it's like, no, you have to like care about other people and do things and stuff. Like this is very important stuff.
There's a difference. You're basically saying there's a difference between feeling entitled to like the position and the power versus feeling responsibility and care for the position and power.
Yes, that's exactly it. Is like, you know, it's like, you know, she needed to be humbled and in the same stroke sort of get rid of the underlying insecurity there. Like it's funny because like you'd imagine like humbling would make you like less confident, but it doesn't. It makes you more confident. I think is the takeaway. And that was supposed to be her character arc.
Why does this remind me of Vegeta? Not wrong in some ways.
Iconic.
I didn't watch enough Dragon Ball Z to remember what was up with Vegeta, but yeah. So that was her thing. But basically, when designing her character, what I wanted was like I wanted a clear air of refinement, but I wanted like not too much refinement that it completely contrasted with her character class. Like, I wanted her to have that sort of like wild, untamed side to her, thus the braids and the halfling aesthetic of being like refined but not like too gaudy or anything. Like, I didn't see her
Not elf
wearing
gaudy.
a lot. I don't see her like wearing a lot of accessories on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? Like more like simple and just very high quality, nice, probably embroidered clothes, type of thing. And like overall just like very warm, you know what I mean? Like, I imagined her like, you know, she's like a lady, so she's not going to be like tanned from being outside, but I imagined her having sort of, you know, like a naturally warmer skin tone, like I already went into the hair and the eyes, but like, and that's kind of how I go about the character aesthetic for her. I like, for other characters, sometimes it's a mix of like just what I think looks cool. Like Thane was largely what I think looks cool.
Yeah.
Like, I gave him like moon elves are supposed to have like flecks of gold. I gave him central heterochromia because I think that heterochromia is dope. And so I was like, yeah, he has central heterochromia to emphasize like he's supposed to have these dead eyes, but boy are they pretty dead eyes. Like, things like that. And then like the only thing that like clothes wise I thought super hard about, or I don't know if it counts, but like my character Riza is throughout the source of the campaign, it somehow became a thing that's now important part of her character, where like she wears a lot of trinkets of like dead people who meant something to her. Like she has a lot of like accessories. And I also like, she has this necklace from her father who she had a very complicated relationship with. And what's fun about that necklace is I asked Steph if it could have a casting of thaumaturgy in it so she can just change her eye color at will. So she does that all the time. And it's sort of a mix of like not liking to like reveal her true self. Like, she's hiding her real eye color, but then also like she's
what
very
is
much
her
a
real eye
lady of
color?
contradiction. Yeah, she's very much a lady of contradictions in that like she doesn't want to be understood, but like any person, she feels upset. Like, you know, like it's lonely not being understood, but she doesn't want to because she doesn't want to get close to people. So she's got that whole thing going on, and that's like displayed in a lot of like her character design, you know. So like,
Hey, Katie.
you know, she doesn't tend to wear like pretty dresses and stuff, but she wears all these like very girly accessories. Huh?
As your DM for this character, what is her eye color?
Riza's eye color?
Yes!
It's red.
Oh, it's actually red. All right.
Her real eye color is red. She will never rotate to red.
Oh.
Red will only come up if like she's exhausted and like the magic like snaps off for a bit or something. Like she will not ever rotate to the eye color red. Her main colors are pink because she loves the color pink. And that's her like one of her default cycle colors, and like she just loves that color. It's her happy color and all that stuff. She'll do blue when feigning innocence a lot of the time, because, you know, blue is a very human eye color, and where she grew up, tieflings were not very well liked, so like to her it was sort of like her way of looking as disarming as possible. I threw green in there as kind of like another sort of typical cycle color. Yellow and orange are kind of like her warning colors, like just because to me, like, they're sort of like, these warning colors, like yellow in the animal kingdom, or like even like we use it on like wet floor signs and stuff. Like I made that one the one of like, I am fucking pissed right now and I will kill you. And orange is kind of like a midway between like red and yellow, so like that's also a warning color. Purple, so her skin is purple, so she doesn't make her eyes purple. Purple's actually her least favorite color. But she'll never make her eyes purple intentionally. I was like, purple's sort of like when she's trying to make her eye color something, but she's like emotionally upset or something, so she can't quite get it. It's kind of like a mid-transitionary color that like signals that like she's trying to hide that she's upset, but like she's... So like I have like the headcanon for all these, and these definitions are very loose, kind of. But like, and they probably don't work super great, but like I like to like sprinkle them in there anyways, because like that was part of like her initial design is just someone who's like changing all these eye colors, and then later on I came up with more sort of concrete meanings up for them so that they kind of served this purpose.
All right, just a quick thing, guys. We are gonna take about a 5-10 minute break real quick. That being said, King Shadow Gaming, this whole design of this stream is supposed to be Oh, actually, all right. Actually, we're not gonna take a break. It's, Katie and I are still gonna go through. Actually, we're gonna do something really quick though. HJ's gonna be right back. I'm gonna say this real quick. Anything you see in this stream, if it helps fuel your creative juices, please use it as a reference. I don't think you'll want to steal things off per se. Like, there's obviously a lot of stuff that Katie might say that's really cool, or I might say really cool, or that's coming up soon from some of our followers and community members that are really cool. But we're gonna get into some of that soon. We're actually gonna go off into the next question, and we're actually gonna have something from Ethno as a reference for us to kind of go. That being said, I know you don't stream often, Katie. Do you need to take like a 5-minute break or anything? Are you good?
Are we taking a? Did you say that we were taking a break?
AJ needs to take
one if we're taking one.
Yeah, AJ needs one for now, but do you need one?
I'm fine to keep going if you want to keep it running.
All right, let's keep it running. All right, so me and Katie will have a little fun here. I'm gonna bring up Ethno's answer to a specific question we had. So on the Google Doc, we're not playing the game yet. The game is gonna be a lot of fun. I'm really excited for that. Thank you. That annoying sound. Let's get the capture up. There we go. Boop. Boop. All right. I'm going to bring up the question in just 1 second. And she doesn't know many people. It's quality over quantity. She skilled a few.
Yeah, well, perhaps it's more accurate to say she hasn't stolen accessories from many people, because she did kill a lot of people.
Yeah.
In the backstory. But, like, she's only had a few very special friends, and they're dead. So. Yeah.
All right. Here's the question. There's a knight there's a knight of the castle Greenway. The castle sits comfortably on some plains overlooking the town. I want you to make a uniform for the knights of the castle and show us how 2 different knights may wear them. They use different colors, hide certain parts of the uniform behind other parts. Is it tidy, messy? Do they wear every part or just some? Why? What motivates these 2 knights to dress differently in the same uniform? Status, roles, perhaps mentality, so on and so forth. But I'm gonna read Ethno's answer to this, right? So first off, the knights of this castle, they're prankers. And before I start, just so you know, the regular armor should look like a typical generic normal cookie cutter knight armor. So the ones you think of when you think of knight armor. But here's the catch. The knights are always pulling pranks on each other. And not regular pranks. These pranks should be generic, dangerous, creative, etc. Basically any prank you can think of, they've probably done it or will do it. But here's how the generic armor set comes into play. The pranks affect the armor. And by pranks, I mean likely the chance the victims in armor some way. So if the prank is something like a paint bomb, that knight armor might get stained colors of the paint. And even a prank as simple as pushing someone down the stairs could dent the armor. So what I'm getting at is that every knight's armor set is unique, and the longer they've been there, the more unique, distorted, colorful, and weird they become. No two armor sets will ever be the same, and the more armor and generic your armor is, the more of a target you become for the knight's devious pranks, until eventually that generic armor you once had is a unique, weird, cool set of armor crafted by the many pranks of the castle. This is funny. I love it.
I was on mute.
You're good.
Yeah, I was about to say as well. I love this because this sort of like hints at something that can be applied more broadly to character design, and that is like the idea that like the history of what your character has gone through is sort of displayed in their character design. You know, like things like scars, for example. Like, do you want to know how I got these scars? But that's a thing, you know, like the idea that like these knights like have these uniform things, but as they get like more experience as they go through the ranks, you know, their armor like gets more like dented and all this, and like, you know, tainted and like different, discolored or whatever from, you know, their years of training. Like that's like really good, and like, you know, no two guards are gonna have it like dented and miscolored the same exact way, or certain parts will be done the exact same way, which implies that, you know, like maybe
hit by the same prank.
Yeah, exactly. Like a group of friends will all have gotten hit by the same prank. So like, you know, like if you want to imply a group of are very close, like have them all have a dent in the same place. Like, you can do so much with this, like, and that's super, super neat. You know what I mean?
I also think it sets up a really fun, like, starting area, honestly. Like, think about it like this, right? I think it sets up a really interesting scenario where a lot of people oftentimes see taking damages or losing rolls as a bad thing, right? And I'll admit I'm guilty of this myself. I don't always want to lose my rolls. One of my DMs was really bad in the past, and we all had to cheat constantly just to stay alive. If we failed one roll, we could die immediately. So we all had to cheat constantly. It was horrible. But I feel like this is a great way of actually kind of like, if you're running a knights campaign, right? Like if you are running a campaign where all your players are knights, this is a great setting to basically be like, yeah, look, you failed your roll. You got pranked, bruh. Your pauldron on your left shoulder now has a streak of blue going down it. Long time ago I cheated, yeah, because everyone in the group cheated. It was so bad. If you didn't roll critical successes sometimes, you would legitimately lose significant portions of your playability. It'd be horrible. And that it was horrible. It was honestly the worst game I ever played. That being said, like showing your players failure is not necessarily a bad thing. You're actually being rewarded for it is something that's really awesome. And not only that, having your players able to do doing a little bit of like a pseudo PvP of sorts, where they can like get at each other a little bit for fun and build these character moments with this kind of thing is awesome, because like it just kind of shows like, not only does it show your stake, it shows the relationship between people. If fucking, as an example, if Riza's using pink all the time in her pranks, if she was the knight for whatever reason, and she used pink all the time, and you saw this bright, vibrant pink on someone, you know that person got pranked by Riza. It's kind of like a little bit of a fun thing of showing like, oh, this person's getting pranked a lot by Riza. Riza just wants to bully this guy for some reason.
I also like what Ethno said in the comments. Like, there's one knight who's very smart and skilled who can always manage to avoid the pranks. I like this idea because, like, I think of like Ida from like My Hero Act. Like, I imagine this person is also a fuddy. Like, maybe this isn't the case, but this person is also a fuddy-duddy. Because like, I imagine that like these pranks are like something you wind up talking about all the time, you know,
Yeah.
like, oh, how'd you get this one? How'd you get that one? So like, depending on like how truly severe they are, like, I almost imagine like, you know, like in some ways it's like a source of like, you know, like it's something to talk about. You know, it's kind of like it's fun to talk about your failures with other people.
I like the idea. Like this group of 4 knights are walking down a staircase, right? And they open the door to the demi-lich's chambers, and the demi-lich turns around and says, you've fallen into my trap. And out of nowhere, like a spire of flames comes from the back, but you see that like everyone's rolled out of it just in case. Like, how did you find that out? It's like, my brothers at the night school have done worse to me, fool. And they go with a lance. Or there's a rogue in the background, like, all right, I got him. It's all good. And then they shoot the arrow, but the arrow just bounces off like a specific chunk of their armor. And it's like, wait, this is an armor-piercing arrow. The knight turns around. I've armor-proofed it due to Sir Lancelot, who struck me from behind before. Foul fiend, get out of the tree. Or some shit like that. Like, I see these pranks accidentally making them significantly more battle ready too. You roll, and the higher your number, the least severe the prank. You roll a 1, I chopped off your arm, get pranked. Holy shit, that might be a little much for the knights. They don't want to cripple their people.
I feel like maybe it's more like, you know, like, I don't think, yeah, I feel like that's a bit extreme. But...
It might be like, have you ever, going back to Aliens, the knife game, I've got all my fingers. The knife goes chop, chop, chop. That, I think, might be like the most severe thing. I don't think a knife force would like take out one of the knights forever. Yeah, fight. I mean, you can fight with one arm, but it's a little harder. Just a little harder. I kind of want to make a character like Craig from Borderlands. If you don't know the Borderlands, they're psycho, then Craig is a psycho. With the same personality that can't take control. I'm gonna say actually real quick on making characters like that. As a player, one thing, like if you want to make someone who is a little out there, shall we say, you've got to be really careful not to fall into the murder hobo group, because that is the most miserable thing to play and to DM. I don't know Craig from Borderlands, but I know Borderlands is kind of crazy, where there's the one guy like shoot me in the head guy and all that stuff. Like, you don't want to become a murder hobo in the D&D game. Trust me on that. It's like the least fun thing to play with and to DM. If you want to make someone who is chaotic, there are a lot of other ways of doing it. Think Jack Sparrow or Robin Hood, etc. But like, it's I'll tell you an example. I played with a murder hobo who was a paladin, lawful good paladin murder hobo. It was the most bizarre bullshit. The character itself as a concept wasn't bad, but every single thing we did, whether we wanted to get out of something more diplomatically or not, was always tainted by the fact that this guy would find some reason to murder someone, including PCs. And it ended up, while an interesting character concept, it ended up dragging a lot of our certain parts of the game to be a lot more miserable to play, especially if you're in a heavy roleplay group. The character was honestly annoying, and it got me to leave the game. That's it.
I'll just say this on murder hobos, like, it has to be like, murder hobos are kind of just like a subset of like anytime you're not respecting the feelings of people around you. You know what I mean? Like, maybe, like, I'm sure at some tables, like just having like a dungeon crawler where you do chop down everything, like, people love to play with that, and that's perfectly fine. Like, that is more than fine. It's just some people have really bad experiences with people who try and play things like a dungeon, like like that. It's like, well, I put all this effort into this thing, and you're just kind of like ignoring it. So that's really more the important thing to work out. I think you can, like, especially in private games, like, kind of work with any character you want. Like, it sounds fun, but you just it's like murder hobos could totally work if everyone's on board with it. It requires that's the important thing to any D&D game, is communication above the table. Making sure, like, am I stepping on any toes by, like, just doing this? Like, are people not having fun because of the way I'm playing? If so, you gotta tweak your behavior.
If you're the only one having fun, you're not playing D&D. You're being a jag.
And I don't think that's I don't think that's what you're saying with this character at all, King.
I'm saying you gotta be careful with it. You gotta be very careful with it. Like, the player I was playing with wasn't being cognizant of how people wanted to play. There were multiple times where people were like, no, don't do it. Like, I just want to get to the next part of the story. And he would just be like, find some reason to murder. And it made the game drag on, and it made us lose sight of a lot of what we wanted to do. And my character, which I had a lot of inspiration for my character at that time, she was fantastic. I lost the inspiration really quickly because no matter what I did, it would be followed up by every plan being ruined. So it was very rough for me. So if you're going to make like a kind of super violent kind of character, you got to be really careful of how you balance that character and how you work with your party with that. Canon has its own version of D&D and Bunker and Badasses. I love it. Bunker and Badasses sounds pretty cool.
Sorry, where were we? I had to take a break.
No worries. So we were just talking actually about the question, why there's knights in this castle. Why do these knights look different? And Ethano's answer was really cool. Then we got off on the topic of not being a murder hobo because we just wanted to make sure that people did not go crazy murder hobo with some of these things. But like, so first off, the knights of these castle, they're all pranksters. And the TLDR is, I don't want to read the entire thing again, but it's on the screen for you. The more generic and basic your armor is, the less experienced you are. So every armor is like covered in paint and dents because of all these pranks being pulled on the knights from each other. What do you think about that?
That sounds cute. I like that.
Right? Yeah, we were talking about how it's really like showing signs of like your character's past history on a character design is like awesome. Like scars and dents and like tears and clothing and like all that stuff is like awesome. Like, for example, not to circle back to Riza again, but I imagine that she has like a bunch of like scars on like the inside of her hands and stuff just from like she likes to like create pottery and then also smash pottery. So like I imagine like just like in both the creation process and the destruction process, she's gotten like injuries in those areas.
Let's go to one of the more weeby references I'm ever gonna make. Naruto. There was a episode of Naruto when Ino and Sakura were investigating something. I don't remember what it was, but they had suspected some people for doing something, right? And Ino had gotten a look at the culprit's hands and had felt something, right? And she said, no, these were the hands of someone who has never worked a physical job, because when you talk to a person who makes flowers or works with whatever, like she goes, as a person who makes flowers and bouquets and gives them to people, I look at hands all the time, and I see the hands of a carpenter, and his hands are rough and scarred and calloused. I see the hands of a musician, and their fingertips are, calloused. Or I see the hands of an artist, and their hands are smooth and pristine, easy to cut. And she goes like, I've seen the person's hands. This is not that person because of whatever reason. It's not a carpenter's hand or whatever. I forgot what it was entirely, but she solved part of this mystery by saying the hands are not indicative of someone who works. And that's actually a really good point you brought up with Riza. If she's got hands and cuts and scars on her hands, it's because she works with pottery. Like, that's 100% a cool aesthetic addition that talks more about the character. Yeah.
More weeb reference, but in My Hero Academia, the main character actually like crushes his hands like really bad throughout the series, and there's actually like lasting scars on his hands. And I was surprised because like in a lot of like anime and stuff, they're like, oh, they're healed now, like totally fine, never happened. But meanwhile, this character, like whenever they get these really, really bad injuries, like if you compare like their body from the start to the end, they have all these scars now, and I'm like, I just like the consistency of that.
Or another one that's kind of this one's a bit more of a meme. It's a comedy show, but a former, what was it, the husband Yakuza show. The funny thing was Way
of the House Husband.
I love that show so much. This is such a silly thing, but like, the tattoos on the character, you can see who's kind of rivals almost immediately, because one person has a dragon tattoo, one person has a tiger tattoo, and it's kind of really interesting to see, like, you know, these are opposing things in Japan sometimes, like the tiger fighting the dragon. You've seen that in a lot of anime as an example. But Wade and the House Husband, you see these two rivals have dragon and tiger tattoos. It's kind of like a really cool way to show that they've always been kind of butting heads consistently. And then again, Way of the House Husband always takes the aesthetic and turns it on its head in the most funny ways.
Right? That's always fun too, is to like take an aesthetic and like spin it on its head. Like, for example, Riza as a tiefling, you know, like has all those demonic things. She's changed slightly, but her initial idea was just like super, super bubbly personality all the time. Like, and she still has that to a degree. It's just more of a front now. But like her initial concept was just like this bubbly, like, you know, like she doesn't like, you know, like you wouldn't expect it from like, you know, someone with like black horns and like pointed teeth and like red eyes, but it's like, you know, she's super bubbly and like super happy.
I don't know. I love that idea. Fucking plants in the armor. I love it.
Yeah.
AJ, anything to add on to that before we go to the next answer?
No, it's so warm.
All right, let's go to the next answer. This one's provided by Voodoo. Voodoo provided this answer, and this is actually this is a very different approach to design, which is just as valid as any other design. So the response reads, oopsies. This is like the one stream I always dundedly mess up because it's like I had to move so many things. So Voodoo's answer is, say the Greenway guards wear a brigadine cuirass and pauldrons with simple clothes bottoms for mobility. The thought process is that the guard on top of the wall may have less to worry about getting hit in the underside with an arrow or projectile. So the sacrifices to redundant sacrifice redundant armor for mobility. Meanwhile, a guard in the front gates who might need more protection might offer limb protection such as greaves and braces.
So Steph, this is the person who put in the they like to do it diegetically, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can tell from this description, like 100%.
There's two very different approaches that are both 100% valid. Like, yeah, like this person is going to be safe on top of the castle walls. They're not going to really get hit in the foot. Why wear thick boots when they could run around kind of shooting arrows from a safe area, you know? What if you have a mute character with no? I actually had a mute character in one of my earliest D&D. Her name was Serenity, if I remember correctly, and she spoke by writing words in fire. It was fun.
Ooh.
Thane was like not mute per se.
Pretty darn close.
He struggled much with communication in the same way. And like, so like, you can totally do these kinds of characters. The only thing I would say is like, like, again, with anything is like, if your character becomes like impossible to like understand, like, like either like just say it like above the board or like, figure out an alternative mode of communication just so that they can interact with the party. But I love characters like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, no. So like, this person definitely has a diegetic point of view. I guess now I want to kind of put you two on the spot. What are, if you had to design two separate knights or a series of knights, same uniform, how would you make one or two of them? You don't need to go for like the whole thing. Like, how would you make one or two of these knights unique?
Well, you've asked the wrong person. Let me. So silver, complete utter bullshit, right? They would often like anneal them, so they'd be like different colours. They'd have etchings. Victorians were just bastards and scrubbed all the paint off. So there are so many ways to make things interesting. So, for example, sorry, this is my history nerd showing.
Yeah.
There's a piece of armor. It's basically two pieces of fabric that have channels in it that's got stuffing all throughout it, all the channels, and it's brilliantly effective for the sake of protection against arrows and other projectiles because the cotton's so thick, and so you can have so much fun with those fabric designs. Stereotype knight thing. Dye it based on status, so blue, or say like pauldrons, for example. You could make pauldrons have like house crests, things like that, if you've got deep into it. But if you're talking, say, for example, maybe like a squadron and leader, things, even just slightly different things, like maybe higher pauldrons, or like a fancier detailed headpiece, like would make a huge difference in like status and example. So much, while being one, time specific, so like with the materials available for the characters, but also two, in a way that would make sense within a hierarchy. That like people assume knights they're wrong. They are so wrong.
All right, Katie, what about you?
So this is a tricky one for Katie because, as I said, I'm not very fashion conscientious. When I try and do like, for example, like, it's funny because like my first thought for like creating people in an army is like it actually would all be the same, and like if I wanted to do distinct characters, it would be that the characters' personalities themselves stand out to differentiate them. Like me, but like if I wanted to make them different, like that'd be tricky. Like maybe like somewhere like certain pins like on their capes or what have you if they have capes. Like, or like, like maybe some of them wear like charms from loved ones. So I imagine
cute. I love that idea.
Like and maybe that's more like under the armor, because like when I imagine like if someone's dealing out something with like a strict uniform, then I'm imagining like it is enforced that they have the strict uniform. So like that's kind of like where I get stuck. But like things like that, because like that's how I design characters, is like when I think about like what's different, I think about like why would they have this thing that is different, you know what I mean? So like like what would be different? Well, maybe they have like pins and charms or like something from loved ones that they wear for good luck.
I like
or
that.
or like maybe one person has like a bunch of stains on their uniform because they're always eating on the job or something. You know what I mean? Like I'd imagine like these more like sort of like individual little quirks, like they're like very minor and like depending on the person.
I love this because now I think you brought up one more good point. Funnily enough, we're talking about characterizing the knights. I think, ironically, we've accidentally characterized the leaders of these armies as well. Think about it like this. The person who has the Greenway guards who are pranking each other, who like kind of supervises them, versus the person supervising yours, versus the person supervising Voodoo's. They're all very different people just by how they run their squadrons, aren't they?
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
So, funnily enough, not only does the armor indicate like the individual, but like if this person's if the armor is so tight knit that your biggest differences are a stain on your shirt from the inside of your armor because you eat on the job every once in a while or something like that, versus all these prank wars happening, that means the leaders of these group have very different ideologies on how to run these armies, which is kind of a really fun thing to think about, where you think along the lines of, damn.
I just thought of the worst thing.
Go for it.
You know how like some restaurants, mainly in movies, I think, but like some restaurants are like you have to wear like 2 pieces of flair. It's like you have to wear like 2, like, you know, we're like, oh, we encourage individuality. You have to have 2 buttons that showcase your personnel.
To quote Aether from Genshin Impact, what is freedom if demanded of you by a god?
That's Venti, but
That's Venti?
Venti said that.
I thought that was because I remember I was listening to the song. I was listening to a song called "You Genshin in the Wrong Impact." It's a meme song, and like Lumine says something along the lines of, "Wow, Mondstadt's wonderful." Like, okay, and then you see Aether, and it's like, "What is freedom of you if it's demanded of you? What is freedom if demanded of you by a god?" And it's kind of like a.
I'm pretty sure Venti says that in response to Storm Terror being like, "Why didn't you just order me?" And him being like, "Bitch, I'm out of freedom."
All right, well, I will do research on that later. But either way, I quoted a Genshin Impact character. You guys should be extremely proud of me. And it wasn't Beidou.
Good job, Seth.
Failed.
A+.
Failed.
Failed.
I mean, is AJ's favorite character? Yes. Or did you switch favorite characters, AJ?
I have not switched favorite characters. I have 2 sons.
He did not know.
All right, we're getting off track.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Now we're gonna play our first round of the game. So what the games are is I ask people on the Google Doc to describe a character, and after describing the character, I'm gonna have the players, aka my co-hosts, take guess as to what the thing's all about. Right. So for the first question, let me get a copy of this real quick. Save as. Capture.
You did not plan at all, did you?
Again?
You didn't prepare at all.
No, I just need to get rid of the notification sound, and then maybe I'll sound pre-planned. Like, if I can get rid of that notification sound, I think that'd be great. So, the question I've asked was, I want you to think of an environment, any environment, and design an individual around that environment. What kind of weapons do they have? Armor, camouflage, any pack animals? Is it a hunter from the desert, the forest, coastal regions? Maybe they're an underwater race. Go nuts. And then I told them, do not put the environment in there. So, this is Voodoo's answer, and I asked Voodoo to... AJ never answered my question. What's your question? One more time there, King Shadow Gaming. So I asked everyone to give me an example, and Voodoo's response was...
What is freedom if you can never escape?
Oh. This stream...
It's not freedom, mate.
He asked they asked AJ, how are they?
Oh, sorry. I think I may have actually been... But I'm good. How are you, KSG?
So Voodoo responded, in such a place as the environment I describe, which they told me later, I picture a hunter clad in the heaviest furs possible. Perhaps through magic communication or great planning, a pair of hunters that may use the power of gravity to hunt, driving their quarries off cliffs. The top hunter fashions barricades to limit a prey's options for escape. that isn't off the edge, and their weapons are not designed for damage but for movement. Where do you think these guys are based off of?
Mountains and snow.
Katie?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Because, like, if they're pushing it off cliffs and stuff, like, it's not like, I can't imagine, like, Antarctica has, like, too many cliffs. But, you know what I mean? Like, it's not, like, a very, very flat tundra, I guess. Tundras are flat, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you know, it's not like Canada or like middle of Canada. If it's cliffs and like it's obviously if they're wearing heavy furs and stuff, it has to be somewhere cold. Like that's obvious. And then yeah, I agree.
I'll give this to you guys. It's and as Voodoo wrote, a cold canyon with plateaus for animal sanctuaries. And
Okay.
go on.
No, I'm just saying, okay.
Yeah, more of the same thing. I think they describe the characters really great because, like, first and foremost, there are those hooked swords as an example. If these people have the power of gravity and those hook swords, they could probably get around that canyon nice and easy. You know what I'm saying? Which I love that idea of, and the fact that, once again, you immediately picked up on it. Heavy furs that were able to withstand the cold. This is a really well-described character that you guys got the immediate gist of, and wasn't a very diegetic viewpoint, you know?
That's word of the day.
That's the word of the day. What do you guys think about what do you think about this design? How would you use it? I guess, like, what kind of inspiration does it drive in you? Because, like, immediately when I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking Monster Hunter and Gammoth. I love me my Gammoth. Get me Gammoth and Monster Hunter Rise. But, like, I could totally see a really cool approach of, as an example, like a whole campaign based upon these sanctuaries where you're literally basically hunting poachers.
It gives me very, like, Inuit vibes, to be honest. Like, so where would I take that in a campaign? I'm thinking of, like, horror, because I know for a fact that Inuits have, like, this concept of, like, shapeshifter.
Ooh.
That's why you don't go out far into the ice, like far into the tundra at night, because of these, like, shapeshifters. So
I'd take it, if you're going a horror direction, I'd take it to the horror below. Like, canyons, make it deeper. Make it deeper, make it darker, make it spooky down there.
No.
Oh, that's good. Oh my god.
Because then you got, like, the danger of, like, falling down there. Like, you know, like, trying to rescue people or supplies that might have fallen in.
Alternatively, though, if we're gonna make it deep, maybe the surface of these, like, tundras and is this a scary part in these crevices?
What'd you say? You kind of cut out for me.
Sorry. So maybe reverse it. So instead of the tundra be the safe part, maybe these people live in these caves and caverns, and it's the tundra itself that's dangerous and so terrifying.
That's why there's animal preserves out there. So, like, they have the animal preserves on top because in this area they're able to preserve some animal life, so that they can hunt it or they can use it for food, while the canyons are there for their specific safety. And I can imagine a whole thing.
Or
the what?
I was gonna say, or the things that are out there aren't interested in eating animals.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a cool idea, Voodoo. You set up once again. Everything kind of goes back to describing a campaign, but, like, not only that, if you add in the thing of controlling gravity as well, like, I feel like, think about it like this, right?
Space campaign. You're in space.
I would love it.
You're in a.
But think about it like this. This is a game kind of where you are the hunted. Like, if everything is based off mobility and not damage, you are the hunted individual. You're the prey. Right? Like, that's a very good point. You have this scenario where you have a perfect setup to have the players in a constant disadvantage while not making it impossible to survive. And I actually like that. Katie is running a game very similar to that right now, and it is fucking terrifying. Holy
think
shit.
about it this way. So, like you said, like everything about them is about maneuver.
Yeah.
Weapons are focused on maneuverability. Even though they have these bulky, heavy furs, they have like the ability to control gravity. So they can probably make themselves lighter to accommodate for the fact that they have these bulky furs. Everything about them is designed to run.
Yeah.
What are they running from?
And hell, if you want to even go for that, what if they specifically use specific furs, and like if they're hunting this animal, they're using this animal's fur to at least, if they can't run, camouflage and hopefully wait long enough. Like, it's not impossible. Like, maybe they can camouflage just for a moment of distraction, in the same way that like zebras camouflage by like just disrupting and like being too similar to teleport. That momentary distraction could have someone survive a second longer. Honestly, I feel the same. I'm starting back up D&D tomorrow with a friend. Hell yeah, who DMs and their plots are always so engaging and terrifying. At some points, it's super pure, and at other points, like, oh god, wait. That's good. That's a good DM right there.
Yeah, it's always fun when you got like a high interest in the group and everyone's having a good time.
Yeah.
That's what every
campaign.
That's what I strive to do. I try my best.
No, Katie's campaign is really good.
Stick the landing. I don't know if I'll stick the landing so good.
I mean, to clarify about Katie's campaign, me and Steph have sat there arguing for hours about where we think the campaign's going to go and what we think is going to happen.
Yeah.
And Katie's just been sat there like.
Katie finally understands how lonely it is to be the GM.
It's lonely and also worrying because it's like I'm not gonna change how it ends, but now I'm like, what if you would have preferred it this way?
No. Go for your gut there, homie. It's gonna be great. But yeah, no, this first and foremost, aesthetically designing your character, they designed this character really well for a scenario we thought of. If you guys think that these guys could work in any other scenario, give us a hint. Like, the other scenario I can think of, like, if you think gravity shifters, my first thing goes to Gravity Rush, but I can't think of much that applies there, honestly. But do you guys have any ideas for what these kind of characters might be? What?
I imagine like they're on like a space meteor or something. Like,
that would be cool.
That wouldn't work so well with the furs, but like.
I mean, it's still cold on a meteor.
When you heard like. Yeah, but like they'd probably need like some sort of breathing apparatus. But like when the second they said gravity, like I was embarrassed because like at first I was like, are they like on gravity? They can alter gravity? But then I was like, oh, that's not what they meant.
Mm-hmm. I just like this idea. This is a great idea. Voodoo, great job with that.
Yeah.
So the second character we have, this is going to be a little more, this is going to be a lot more difficult to,
bring it on.
It's gonna be
I can't wait to see how wrong I am.
It's going to be extensively more difficult. Like,
let me answer first, AJ, because I feel like you'll say the correct one, and then I'll be like, it's what AJ said.
Okay. So... are you ready for me to read this out? So this individual is, drumroll please, from Ethno, by the way, Adriana Rotes. Adriana Rotes is a crab-human hybrid who loves partying, relaxing, getting a tan, riding the waves, and stuff like that. He only walks sideways, of course, and usually dresses in a short-sleeved, dirty pink shirt. He also wears a stolen pair of knight armor pants that he's cut and has one with one of his claws and turns them into night shorts. He likes wearing necklaces and a ring, and also carries around a very colorful sword-shaped form of a coral reef he's named the Reefinator. Adriano speaks in the way you'd expect a stereotypical surfer to be saying, dude, and stuff like that. He gets along with sea creatures pretty well. He's also free-spirited and not chained down by manners if he even knows what manners are. So I don't recommend taking him to fancy places. Now, Katie, where do you think this dude's from?
I think this dude is from a post-apocalyptic world where half crab human hybrids are the dominant species, living between the ocean and the sea. And anytime like humans try and like get resources, the superior crab humans undergoing carcinization as God intended become crab. Right, that's what it's called, Steph. Carcinization. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
The no, not cancerous. The tendency for
things to become more
sea
crab-like.
creatures to become more crab-like.
I know what you're talking about. I do not know what it's called.
Yes. So as God intended, they have begun to become crab, and now lived happily in shallow waters along the beach, coming up to sun themselves, and sometimes getting into tussles with the surviving human populations.
AJ, where do you think this dude's from?
Okay, so he's either from Splatoon or...
So the answer, believe it or
I
not.
meant to say it's tropical as well, obviously.
Yeah. So the answer here, that the really long, expansive answer that Ethno gave us, the beach. Just reskin the tabaxi to be a crab.
I love it. I love it so much. Thank you for that gift, Ethno.
This dude's a meme. It's so funny. I love it. But I won't say this. I mean, Katie made one hell of an amazing situation out of it.
I wasn't wrong. I said Splatoon.
Yeah. You both went post-apocalyptic.
My world has a beach. They both have beaches.
Yeah, you both went post-apocalyptic. It works out very well.
Thank you for that joy, Ethno. Sheer joy.
Can crabs get a tan?
He's half crab, Steph.
Fair enough.
Yeah, come on.
But he has
get your shit
claws,
together.
so I was wondering if he has an exoskeleton. I feel like he has an exoskeleton.
This reminds me of Crabman. Did I ever tell you about? So it was a D&D game, right? Well, it wasn't D&D. It was Mutants and we were fighting Nazis, right? It's basically semi-post-apocalyptic. Like the Nazis won, and they are using mutants, and they are killing any other mutant that they find that isn't working for them. So we're like a band of mutants, right? And there's a crab man, right? Now, my character's not human. He's possessed by care, right? So I go to the DM, hey, is he made of, because he's half crab, half human. I'm like, hey, is he made of crab or is he made of human? Important distinction.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, he's human. I'm like, but would he taste like crab?
Oh god, I remember this story now.
So, long story short, we end up like don't be Krabbis. He was an sorry, the absurdity. So we drag him up to the surface, and he has the bend underwater. And we were just trading him through like 30 like different pressure in one go. I'm a fire demon. I ate the crab. I ate the crab man. It didn't taste like crab.
Jesus.
I mean, Thane did eat half of that half fish man.
Oh yeah, you did, right.
I mean, you're the one who brought up the concept. Thane was just like, yeah, I have no moral qualms with this, seeing as I have no morals.
Jesus.
Really wants to be at the end of a dark hallway to see a crab man sidewalking.
What?
F&O. You put in text.
Oh, let me see.
Super Aiden, we've been talking a lot about different characterizations of a lot of characters. I will be putting this on YouTube. Do not fret about it. So if you want to watch it later on, it will be on YouTube. We've talked crazy things about of graphic controlling horror suspense areas, all about maneuverability and costuming for that. We talked about knights and how they show their different levels of how like knight uniforms can express the knights and the leaders. We've done a lot. It'll be on YouTube, I promise you that, as are all the other Fantasy Cool episodes at the moment. It's a lot of fun. We had a great blast so far. Right now we're talking about our boy Adriano Rotes, the crab human hybrid.
We love him.
So good. All right. That was that was a very hard and riveting round. You guys did fantastic. Now, we're going to go on to the next round. Now, the next question is actually a little simple. I gave everyone a list of words to choose from, right? So I said, design a character based upon one of the following words. Success. Feel free to write these down, by the way.
Oh, wait.
Actually,
I'm not
hold
ready.
on. Hey, I'll put them in the chat. I'll put them in the chat. Actually, hold on.
I got my notepad up anyway.
Hold on. I'm actually, you know what I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to do? Hold on. I'm actually be a good host.
Drawing stuff.
What?
Drawing. I can't take notes.
Yeah, here, don't worry. It's I put the words on here. Here are the words. The words they have to choose from were successor, ancient, cautious, crafty, founder, and wake. All right.
The words, I don't see them.
They're on the. They're
Oh,
on
there
the.
they are.
Yeah, it'll take like 6 seconds. That being said, here is the first description. I want you guys to tell me which one you think it belongs to. Now, the description is from Voodoo. All right. Here is the prompt. The god of earth wears his creations like a badge of pride, as he is sleeved by twin dowels of marbly stone. Masculine modesty is considered paramount, or rather, modesty in this case. As his torso and loins are protected in a tight sloped cloth and overlaid with chainmail weaved from lichen. When appearing before his followers, he shoulders a great banner that hangs over him, casting a shadow as his towering buildings do. Which word is this supposed to represent? It's a good one. I think it represents it pretty okay, honestly. I think it's a good one.
I'm tempted to say I feel like it's got to be either ancient or founder.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Aiden's saying it's ancient.
I'm gonna go for founder because it talks about his creations.
Yeah.
Anyone else in chat want to take a guess? I will say this. The word that it is based off is on the screen. Super Aiden says ancient. You two say founder. The answer is, drumroll please, founder.
Yeah!
Hey.
Context clues, baby.
Yeah, this like, don't get me wrong. When I first read it, I was stuck between ancient and founder too. But like the fact that this god of earth is covered in grasses and mold and lichens makes me feel like, one, ancient, but two, also like they created the earth, like they founded it.
It was really easy to get. I'll tell you what. The thing that tipped it off me was. Wait, what was it? There was the word creations in.
Yeah, it was the word creations, and just like ancient tends to carry some sort of gravitas or a specific kind of gravitas that I wasn't getting from this description. Mm-hmm. Like, there wasn't enough emphasis on it. I felt it had to be closer to founder.
It was a good one. I liked it. I also, once again, let's go back into characterizing this god here now. This god sounds fucking cool. Like, I love the, well, also, I kind of feel like it's also a very suffocating place to live. because it feels like this god directly interacts with his followers, and a god of earth who wears his creations like a badge of pride. I feel like he wants to keep his creations well controlled. I feel like this dude runs a very suffocating area, but I love the description of this. Like I have a clear image of what this god looks like and how they, in my opinion, act. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I wasn't sure about suffocating because, like, the fact that he wears them like a source of pride.
Yeah.
I mean, it does have the bits about like it casts a shadow over the land, so you might have something there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it talks about masculine modesty. So, like, I don't know, that to me seems a bit more humbling.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Like, I imagine, like, stern, but perhaps not suffocating is kind of the vibe I personally get.
I got the vibes from... Is it Zeus from God of War? I don't remember.
There's a lot of gods in God of War.
The one you kill, like, in the first game, because dickhead.
That doesn't help out. We kill a lot of gods in God of War.
The one who's a dickhead.
That's all the gods in God of War.
But, like, okay,
But what
Ares.
AJ's saying is that dickhead is the vibe they're getting.
Ares,
Yeah.
Ares.
Ares, yes.
You kill Ares in the first God of War. In the third God of War, you kill Zeus.
But it lends, like, especially the word masculinity, it just gives this idea of, like, painfully imposing an expectation.
Yeah.
To make him sound like a dick.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the character description isn't good at all. That's just the idea I get from the description.
You have a good character that's a dick. Like, great example of a good character that's an absolutely horrible human being. Dolores Umbridge.
Oh, I was going to say Edelgard.
But yeah, I like that. Good job there, Voodoo. Now let's get Ethnos. Ethno. This one will be an interesting one to do, and I think they described it very well. And save this. I got rid of the sound notification, so now it sounds like I'm prepared. I'm not, guys. Don't worry about it. You still got the same stuff.
My favorite dumbass.
Thank you. All right, here it is. A dragon called Kaida that's lived for many centuries, so long that he's forgotten everything about his past, even his name. Kaida was just the name he was given to by the owner of a huge coliseum he lives in, where the best fighters come to challenge each other and come to challenge powerful beasts. Only a few fighters have ever been skilled enough to fight Kaida, and in each fight ended immediately with Kaida being the victor. Kaida has a strange, old, and powerful ability that he has no idea how he obtained, but one day, a strange figure came to challenge Kaida and told him that he has a role to play upcoming major events, and that he must be prepared, and then vanished. What are these major events upcoming? Will Kaida possibly find out about his past life when he's there, or his abilities, or what his real name is? Maybe his past could be more sinister than anyone could imagine. It's a mystery for now. This one might be a little bit on the nose, but what do you guys think Kaida's word is?
So my two options now are either ancient or wake, and I feel like ancient is probably the correct one. Wake would only be because it seems like he's about to go on a quest to, like, learn his truth, like awaken, but I think there's a lot of emphasis on, like, especially in the first half. The first half especially has that ancient vibe. The second half has more of that wake vibe, but I still think ancient is the correct one. That's my reasoning.
What do you think, chat? You tell us. Yeah, that is a very good...
Wait, AJ didn't answer yet.
I'm thinking. Like, I made this entirely as a compliment. And like, imagine if to buy the crystal.
You cut out.
Oh god damn it! Imagine if Seek the Scaler had been corrupted by the crystal. That's the vibes I'm getting.
One more time.
That means nothing to you. Okay. Imagine if Seek the Scalers had crystal. That will mean nothing to you.
Yeah, it means nothing to me.
It will mean everything to Ethano.
So what did you think it was, AJ? I know I heard you say ancient before, but
Yeah, ancient.
all right. The answer is ancient.
Hooray.
Yeah. This one was a little more on the nose. I actually really appreciate it because, like, once I got a very clear view of this dragon in my head and kind of their, kind of how they reacted with everything around them. I like the idea of this dude. I love the idea of this dude named Kaida. I feel like this is a very interesting dragon, and I would love to see that. Ethno says, "Hey, I got a Dark Souls reference."
Yeah. I did that just for you, boy.
But yeah, I like it. I honestly love the description given, and I think you guys did fantastic with that.
Yeah, it also shows how prone I am to overthinking things because I'm like, well, there are themes of waking.
That being said, we have one more thing to do, and this is going to be a little wild. Now, with these two prompts, either the environment or the words, I want you both to make one character, just one. You can choose either prompt, the environment or the word. I haven't made a character yet, so I'll be making a character alongside you guys. Take a few minutes, jot down some notes, and describe a character within like 5 minutes. I will definitely be able to say a few things and keep a few things out there, but like make a character, choose if you want to do an environment or one of these words, and then we're gonna take a guess at everybody. I think that could be a lot of fun. And also extremely last minute to push on everyone.
Yeah, okay.
Kitty's like, no, Steph, why'd you do this to me? I think it'd be cool for Kaida to become a villain after learning about his past, or maybe an anti-hero.
That's the idea I was getting.
Yeah.
Like, there's this dark past that he has no idea. Perhaps like he's related to like a corrupting magic, or he's going to rediscover who and what he was, to this ancient being of destruction.
For sure. All right, here's what I'm gonna do, guys. To give everyone a solid 5-10 minutes to think about things, I'm gonna go on a quick break. This is your moment to use the restroom, get drinks, and all that stuff. We'll go on a quick break. We'll be right back, and then we'll play that game with each other. All right? We'll see you guys in 1 second.
All right.
All right, guys, and we're back. So, we all did a lot of work, and we all took a second to gather our things. We're gonna actually start with Katie's thing. Katie, what prompt did you use?
I used the choose one of the words.
All right, so I'll read this prompt out to you guys. In chat, take a guess, and I will also take a guess alongside AJ. Brown eyes shine in the candlelight as a man leans back in his chair. Black bangs. What?
Leans back in his chair. It's not hair.
Yeah. Don't worry. I have a spelling mistake or two. Don't worry. Black bangs slide across his face, but he does not move them out of the way immediately. Instead, the man looks over at the cards played at the table before him, then flicker back to the cards he currently holds in his hands. He reaches under his black cloak, black as the rest of his outfit. God, this dude seems so edgy. I love it. To scratch an itch. He turns his gaze to the regal man garbed in high-quality red clothes seated across from him. He gives out a crooked smile. I fold, he says, tossing his cards away. You have the money at the table. The man sets up to leave, bumping into his opponent on the way. Sorry about that, he says. Must have had too much to drink. The man leaves the bar, and only when he's very far away does he pull out a red coin purse heavy with gold. Chat, which word do you think this is? I have one. Actually, I have two. I am thinking between cautious and crafty.
I would say crafty.
I was leaning more crafty. Chat, what do you think? Actually, you know what? Can we do a poll? Hold on. Yeah. What word?
Of the words given, yeah.
Four, yeah. So the words are successor, ancient, cautious, crafty. Oh. But I don't think it's wake, so I'm not gonna put that one in. I can only fit in like 5. Oops. Well, I know for next time. Which word do you think it is? I personally think it's going to be crafty, so I'm going to vote for crafty. This dude seems very crafty. Someone did vote cautious. That's a very good one. This dude definitely does seem cautious. Like this dude has like a plan, right? And I can appreciate this plan. It is a very dangerous plan. This dude stole from like a noble wearing red. I do like to appreciate once like you showed that you also told a story with these colors. Like this dude's all clad in black, super edgy, and
I figured I should work in actual character design somewhere. So I'm like, what can I show?
Yeah.
Oh, I can show how character design immediately shows this coin purse is not his.
Yes. I think you did well. All right. I did go with crafty, and so did the majority of the voters. Katie, what word did you choose?
I did do crafty.
Nice.
So crafty in I did a slight typo, but not only that he stole, but the way he said you can have the money at the table. Because he took money that wasn't at the table, baby.
Yo, this dude's an asshole. I like it. It's like, I'll give you your money tomorrow. Next day, hey, where's my money? I said I'll give it to you tomorrow. It's not tomorrow yet. Today's today. Tomorrow's tomorrow. That high charisma roll, baby. Oh my god, I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, there's a lot of I tried to make him like, like with the bangs sweeping across the face, like symbolic of, deception, hiding his face.
Yeah.
Like I tried to work those elements in.
That's valid. All right. I'll do mine next. Mine is, I'll say this. I did both for mine, both an environment and a word. Yeah, I know.
Overachiever. Trying to stop us.
I did both an environment and a word. The hardest part was getting the name down. I'm not gonna lie. I fucking suck at names. Oop, fuck. Let me put this one out. Oop, hold on. Let me make it bigger. All right. So, my one.
Mine isn't finished. Don't look at it.
Yeah. Mine says, Garen Friznar is an individual who enjoys the simple things in life. Pale skin, bushy beard, and calloused hands. He enjoys eating a fish he's freshly caught and enjoys a nice afternoon swim. For a long period of time, he set sail silently on his own where he lived. His location seldom visited by others, though it wasn't unheard of for a few adventurers to wander in here and there. As time progressed, he aided many of those adventurers and soon taught others of his own craft. He sold visitors fish, taught them to whittle a fishing pole and tackle, how to maintain a boat, and what kind of bait to use for what kind of fish to catch. Through his teachings, he inspired a new generation of individuals to use a popular skill in an isolated and lonely environment. I'll start with this. What word do you guys think I used to craft this man first? And I will put up the poll one more time. I'll say this. The word was not wake because I can't put the word wake in here.
Yeah.
But you guys tell me, what do you think the word I used was?
Do we have to vote first, or?
You don't have to vote first. I'm gonna put it. You can talk about it. Oh, god damn it! It's making. It's
I actually picked up on the environment much faster.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna be excited to see what you guys think about that.
He's a Viking. He's got the pale skin, the bushy beard, calloused hands. And I think it said did it say he had red hair somewhere, or am I crazy?
I think you're crazy.
Yeah. I don't know.
What were the words again? Sorry.
Or maybe not a Viking then. For some reason I thought he had red hair. Maybe I read, because I was reading from the Discord, maybe I caught it from like my own, I skimmed too fast, but like...
Can you repeat to me the words again? Oh, successor, never mind. Ancient.
Successor, ancient, cautious, crafty, founder, weak. But like, he's obviously like pale skin, so he's like not from anywhere tropical.
Mm-hmm. All right, so go for the environment first. Everyone, you guys vote for the... Go ahead and vote for the word you think I used, but also guess the environment in the chat. Guess the environment in the chat.
Sorry, you can hear my typing.
You're good. All right, next Wednesday will be a Hollow Knight stream. All right, let's do it.
Yeah. So the environment is like by the sea. Like, it says that like people like he sells visitors, which implies that like his location is seldom visited by others. Like, I don't imagine like you're visiting people out in the sea. So like I imagine like he's by the sea but not actually out at sea. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
all right.
That's...
So you're going...
Unless he's like a mermaid. He might be a butch mermaid, and Steph might be trying to throw me off.
It could be a selfie.
Like,
what do you think, AJ?
Oh, I don't know. I was writing my own.
Yeah, that's valid.
yeah.
I made mine.
imagine,
I made it a little tough because I wanted to see if I could. Because here's the thing, right? I wanted to make it tough, but all the same time I didn't want to make it super tough because I want to be able to get the feeling of this guy across where he lives. But yeah,
I'm going to say he lives on like maybe not like a lighthouse, but like, you know, that kind of like craggy area by the sea.
Yeah.
You get like that kind of like, you know, like where you get like the high sea spray against the rocky cliffs or whatever, and like there's a forest nearby. Like, I imagine that kind of deal going on, and he like sails out for long periods of times, comes back.
Ethanol's gonna guess Lakeside. Fair. Super 8, did you have a guess for the? Did you have a guess for the location? I'll say the location in a second. I'll give Super 8 in a second if he wants to take a guess. But I'm gonna say this: you guys picked apart a lot of the clues I put down, which I'm really glad about. Obviously, there is a water body near this individual. I will say this: I thought I would. I purposely made it so that they feel isolated 100%. The bushy beard isn't necessarily because they're Viking. It's because they just don't get visitors. And they don't care about self-grooming that much, right? The pale skin is because they never see the sun.
God damn it, it is a merman.
No. I imagine this person to be a dwarf next to an underground lake. They're a pale-skinned dwarf living next to a lake nearby, where they just kind of silently live and enjoy themselves on their own. They fish lake fish out of the water, and they just eat it and cook it. And the reason why people seldom visit is because people don't really go too deep into caves anymore, especially non-dwarves, right? Which means that the few adventurers that do go in get taught a very valuable lesson of how to survive in a cave by eating the fish there.
I'm sorry, mine is very short.
No, that's fair. That's fair. So, all right, you guys got the general gist of the vibe. Like, especially when we got lakeside from Ethno, and we also had water, and then you picked up on the craggy, rocky areas around it. It is great. So, great job on that. I'm gonna give you guys that point. But now my question is, what word did you think it was? There was three crafty. There was three crafty, one founders.
100% wrong.
I'm gonna. Oh,
I had guessed founder, but that was me thinking that this was like a person settled in like an unsettled area and he's teaching people, but now that doesn't feel correct. So I won't retract it because that's no fair, but
Yeah. AJ?
I'm pretty wrong.
I was gonna say founder.
So
I was second chance.
I was going between two. I was going between founder and crafty. I was going for founder. I was originally thinking like founder. What could founder be? Did he found a city? No, he did find a city. I had a feeling being always alone, but he did find a way of. He did found a new form of fishing, but that's not what I went for at the end. At the end, I went for crafty. This guy learned to survive on his own and passed it down. Yeah, he founded a new thing, but that was really off on the side. It was based on the word crafty at the very end.
It's a different meaning of crafty.
Yeah.
Exactly. Very different meaning of crafty. It was like you guys picked up exactly what I was putting down though, so like I love it. I really do. See, these short descriptions can still give off a lot of character. It's great. And these words can oftentimes just give off a lot of like implications that you do it. By the way, I love his name. Thank you. I literally made it up off the top of my head. I'm not good with names, typically speaking. Everyone could attest to that.
I was very lazy.
Which prompt did you use?
I used the words.
All right. Heather, a doctor by trade, her clothes are clean and surprisingly ornate, yet the luster of gold trim has stitches show the years of wear. The mask covering her face completely is bleak white. A few wisps of hair falling out in front of it. Features completely hidden. Carries in her hand language you don't understand. Covers a strange arcane text. Her satchel laden with more dripping from its weight. You can't tell if she's looking at the book or around the room. Her eyes are constantly obscured.
No, her eyes and intent completely obscured.
Her eyes and intent completely obscured. Thank you. What were the words again? I need to type them in. Ancient.
Successor,
Ancient, cautious, crafty, founder, and successor. Yeah.
Crafty. Ancient, cautious, crafty, founder.
successor.
All right. Can you give me one that it is not AJ so I can put one in there? Take one out.
One that isn't it.
Yeah.
Is it Wake?
Successor. Wake.
Successor. All right, I'll put Wake there. All right.
I tried to put a bit of a red herring in there.
Yeah. Okay. So. This is a tough one. Holy shit.
It is a tough one. I'm gonna go with my gut.
I thought of successor, actually. I'm not gonna lie.
Why did you think successor?
I'll describe it in a moment, but I'm gonna go with caution. Now,
I went with ancient.
yeah, for me it was between ancient and successor, and then it was also like, and then after successor was gone, I was cautious because for me, when I read this, I felt like this was a person who is protecting a trade that she has been gifted and is kind of like she's been given this trait, she's been given this book. Obviously, it's a very ancient book, so I definitely felt ancient a lot. But I kind of was like, I don't know. This feels like she's a successor of this trade, and she's not found a successor, or she has yet to find someone who's suitable to be successor. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like this felt like something that would be passed down and never was, or was passed down a very long time ago, which could be ancient again. But at the end, I went for cautious because I just feel like everything she does is just so carefully planned and calculated. What about you, Katie?
I was torn between ancient and crafty, and I went with ancient because the only thing that made me think crafty were that her eyes and intent were obscured.
Yeah. But
really, there's far more things pointing to ancient in that her clothes are clean and obviously well maintained. Yet they've become, they show signs of aging, which if you're maintaining your clothes very carefully, because it's like they're clean and ornate, but it's still aging anyways, it must be old. There's some I don't know, just like that, the idea of like a language you don't understand. I feel like that leads to more like ancient things. And like, pardon?
Go on.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of like the mood I was getting at. Like it definitely has the vibe of like something like mystical and ancient to me.
I agree there, but I definitely feel like there's a level of cautiousism there. Like, and I think like we had 3 votes for cautious. A lot of people got the cautious vibe from this character. Like, what is their intent? We don't know. It feels like they're always observing things, and as a doctor, a doctor by trade, they're astute to certain observational things. I feel like she's cautious. AJ, what's the word?
Katie got it right. So I put it was ancient, and I added crafty.
Nice. So it was ancient. Ancient was the second vibe I got. It was between ancient and successor, than ancient and cautious. And I'm like, cautious sounds right. I like it. But ancient is a really good word. You did really good with that. You definitely gave off the ancient vibe of like an ever old doctor that just we don't fucking know. We don't fucking know. I love it. You did great with that. You both did absolutely fantastic.
Although that's just me, like, I did less of like visualizing, and I did for these things. I did more of like picking up on actual keywords. To be honest, it's like, you know what I mean. I'm like looking through the keywords and being like, all right, what could this mean?
Katie pulled the chat and move on us. Just knows too much.
I mean, I'm super into like writing and technicalities and stuff. Like, I think they're neat. So like, I like to key into that word choice and try and analyze it a bit. Like why would you have this detail over this detail? Like if the word was cautious, I would have assumed for her to be either like more skittish or more emphasis on like protective gear.
Like a book binder that you couldn't see what's inside, but the binder was meant to protect the book itself.
Yeah, or like because like cautious generally means like hedging your bets, but she's like not. Like, she has, like, a mask on to, like, hide her intent, but, like, that's it. Like, it looks like her bag's ripping from weight. That's not very cautious. It could rip at any moment.
Good point.
Like, you know what I mean?
Hey, guys, follow this character's example. Like, wear a mask.
The mask is actually cultural, so...
Oh, shit.
It adds sort of, like, the ancient... Obviously, in context, it adds the ancient vibe.
Yeah. I like it. They're all great ones. All right. I think that's about all the time we have today for Fantasy Cool. Does anybody want to leave off on any final words of the stream.
I want to say, there's a lot of different ways to design characters. I think we covered, like some people like to base off personality, some people like to get into like the history of it all, some people, like playing around. Like there's a lot of different things you could do to design your character, and like it can still, like, you can even just design a character that you just think looks cool. Like, so I would encourage like playing around, because like some of the like sometimes like traits don't necessarily mean anything when you come up with them, but then later on like you find ways that just sort of integrates into their personality. So like I just say like make stuff that you think looks cool, like make stuff that you think looks cool, and just have fun with it, you know what I mean? Like just do whatever, like pay attention to the aesthetics you like if you like fashion, design them a million clothes. If you're not into that, you know what I mean? I just focus. I give them like a hair color, eye color, skin color, because those are like the first things you'd notice about a person, and then anything beyond that is what is like I think would be a significant like defining feature of that person, and I don't focus on much of the other details. So like there's lots of, like, you can make it as detailed or as undetailed as you want. Just have fun with it.
Absolutely. Like, if it's not fun, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Your variant of character creation is going to be to you for a character to be completely different, completely natural. And
I know that, like, we were talking about it before, aesthetic over function or function over aesthetic. In all reality, there is a level of who cares, because it is what you want. We had examples of really fun examples of, as an example, that the knight training where all the knights were pranksters and getting paint on each other and stuff. That was a very fun, not really kind of diegetic, but also like it was fun and kind of wild and not necessarily super functional. Like, who wants their armor to be dented the first day? Who wants their armor to have damage before you even go into battle? That's a kind of a danger. But then we also had this design of function of not wearing greaves when you're on the top, and then wearing greaves when you're back on the front lines and stuff like that, which was really, really cool. So like, in reality, you could take whatever base armor it is and talk to your DM and say, hey, I want this base armor, but I want it to look like this. Fucking go for it. Like, that's my personal opinion. The armors in the book, in my opinion, are only there for stats, not for aesthetic. So have fun with designing your character. If you want to add in deep, intricate designs that are sincerely important to your character, please do it. And if you don't, and you just want to kind of ding dong around, then ding dong around. That's they're both very valid ways of doing it. Just chat with your DM and see what you do. I know I hosted a game once where I was like, it's gonna be like a monster hunter game. You can make armor out of the monsters you hunt. So this dude hunted giant eels, and they made weapons out of the eel's teeth, which was really cool. And I gave them bonuses for that kind of creativity. They made armor out of a T-Rex they slew, so it was kind of wild. And have fun, be creative. If you have an idea for a character that you like the look of and you like the vibe of, go for it. Just talk to your DM and see what you can do to make it a reality. All right, let's get to the credits, guys. First and foremost, I want to give a big thank you to AJ. AJ is an amazing being and a fantastic individual. Please check him out on Twitch and Twitter. Oh boy, did I forgot to bring up Streamlabs. Hold on. Don't worry about it. It's coming up. Oh, I gotta sign in. Hold on, wait. Guys, we had a final word from AJ. AJ had something to say. Totally.
Yeah. So this entire stream. So aesthetics don't only apply to characters. You are a canvas.
All right, who are we gonna raid today? Hold on, let me get the raid channel up real quick before. We'll raid Anki. Anki seems to be streaming. Oh, Anki's doing a Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales speed run. Let's go take a look at Anki. Good luck to Anki on that one. All right, let's get those credits rolling. First and foremost, a huge thank you to AJ as always. AJ is a fantastic supporter, an amazing friend.
Thank you to Katie for being here.
100%.
Thank you to Katie.
And a big thank you, of course, to Katie. Katie joined us in today, taking time out of her day. She is fantastic and a great player and a great DM. You can't really check her out anywhere unless she wants to plug herself. That's up to you.
Nah.
The Scott 2 Network, thank you very much to the Intro Music Scott 2 Network. A big thank you to Empo for the follow, as well as the raid. And big thank you to my moderators, Colin, Research, Anki, and Koi. Another thank you to all of you guys. Without you guys, I can't do what I do. Also, a big thank you to my co-hosts, AJ and Katie. They are two amazing creative individuals that I am super excited to ever have on this stream. They
I love Katie. Katie's
blow
great.
my brain with all the cool stuff they
you
have.
guys too.
Aw, little gay, I love it. Anyways, guys, we're gonna yell plant raiders and say hi to Enki, and tomorrow we're gonna be streaming Splatoon. So stay safe, stay Botanist Cool, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye everyone.
Bye.
We're good.
We are good.